Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last week of regular season Hearthstone here on the Aspirant CCG Twitch page. My name is Jimmy Cant, filling in last minute, literally last minute here, joined by my partner in crime from our first week of regular season play, Dragon Rider. Dragon, how you doing? It's been a while.
It has been. Thank you so much for filling in last minute for us so that before we did start, I think before you joined the call, I was letting our producer, so shout out to Mr. Gnome. I was letting him know that it was like, well, maybe I solo cast, but I'm very grateful that I do not have to do that tonight. So thank you for being here. But yeah, like you said, this is the last week of the regular season before playoffs.
Yes.
And who we've got some matches and some tight standings leading up to this final week before playoffs.
Yep. One match will guarantee, like the winner of one match will be guaranteed a playoff spot. They will be guaranteed access to the playoffs. The other, our first game here, Harash versus Minney, and that is gonna be a very interesting finish because that match is in Division 4. Division 4 right now has 6 competitors, all with winning records, all within chances for the 2 automatic qualifiers for first and second place, plus one of the 6 wildcard spots. And remember, the wildcard spots go out through all the divisions of Aspiring. There are 5 divisions. So we could be seeing a bunch of players that finish the season 5-3 that do not make the playoffs, which is going to be rough.
Yep, I am one of those players. So it definitely is a little bit rough feeling on that end. But I think that just speaks to the level of play that we have
Yes.
from the players this season, because it really does feel like this season the player like level has just increased like tenfold from what we've had before. So it's great to see, but a little disappointing for players like myself who, got this close and aren't going to end up getting there. But yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about the lineups that these
Yes.
players, Harash and Mini, brought. I do want to mention both of our matches tonight are live. We are on a delay, but these are not pre-recorded tonight, so live matches.
The
Yes.
the action you see will be live and pure. And like Dragon said, let's get right into these lineups here for our Division 4 hoopla. Dude, that's all it is. The shenanigans are gonna run wild with this one. So let's get right into the deck list here for Harash versus Mini as we see the Harash deck list here. We got Warrior, Rogue, and Demon Hunter. The Priest being the popular ban, it seems like this season. My Priests have been banned more times this season than I think any other. But taking a look at the Warrior here, looks to be that standard bomb warrior kind of feel that we've seen with Ashes of Outlands and the Scholarman's Academy uh kind of coming into play here. You know, Bomb Warrior has seen a bit of a resurgence with uh with those 2 expansions. And we think about also that combo, the Risky Skipper and a Gramash, if played perfectly, that could spell some trouble for Mini early on.
Yeah, so it actually looks like a lot of these players are switching over. This is more of the kind of enrage warrior. There's none of
Yes, you're
the
you're, you're right.
the bomb warrior.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a little interesting because bomb warrior was very prevalent, like you mentioned.
Yes.
But yeah, we've kind of had a couple of nerfs, and then all of a sudden, people have been switching over. And I think part of that is just because bomb warrior has become uh, a deck that people are very cognitive and looking out
Yes.
for. So it's it's become a big target deck for a lot of players. So people are switching over to this Enrage Warrior, and I think it does have a little bit more consistency sometimes than the bombs. But yeah, pretty nice looking deck. I think just pretty solid overall. Not really
Yep.
anything different, I'd say, in that list. But I want to talk about this rogue list a little bit. What do you think of
Oh
this
yeah.
Gala rogue list?
Wow, that is, you want to talk about legendaries in a rogue, especially a Galakrond rogue deck list. Janet Barav is definitely an interesting fill in as a 5 cost there. You still have your standard, your shielded Galakron, you have the praised Galakron. Really doesn't look like there's really a whole lot other uh to like kind of boost up Galakron there. But I mean, you got two of each, so that's definitely gonna work out. But just look at, I mean, you got a High Spear and Togwaggle as an option to kind of set the tempo a little bit here. You also have Edwin Van Cleef. We all know how that card works out. So there's a lot of play. It's not just Galakron that normally a Galakron class deck would go with. This rogue deck has plenty more options. Hey, Galakron doesn't work. Okay, let's go with High Spearin. High Spearin doesn't work. All right, hey, we got Edwin Van Cleef. The potential for this deck is limited. And I know, like I said, I know priests have been the popular ban and all that stuff, but I think many might rue the day that they don't ban this rogue just because of all the potentials that they have. Holy crap.
Yeah, and the addition of people putting in Lorekeeper Polkel into
Yes.
the Gala Rogue is it creates a lot of very interesting interactions. If you can end up getting the Polkel first and then finding Galakron, Kronks, Tog, or you know, playing like the Galakron to get Kronks, Tog, something else very cheap for free. In some cases with the wand from Togwaggle as well. Like there's a ton of different interactions in there. So I think for me that's been one of the most interesting things that has kind of come about with people bringing back the Galakron Rogue. But let's go ahead and switch over to Minnie's deck list because we're going to see some similarities here, but there are definitely some differences. So we kind of see,
Yeah.
uh, oh, that looks like it might be the same screen
That would be
actually,
the same
but
that is actually
uh,
indeed the same screen
so,
here.
yes, so
Uh
give us
we,
one
we do
second here, but
Yep. We can't tell you that Minnie's Druid was banned in the ban process here. So if you're depending on what kind of druid this was, we won't be seeing it.
there,
And as we got the updated one right here, yeah, so the druid got banned. So we got another actually
another
a
Galarogue.
is there a guy on the bottom there? My screen might be missing a little bit, but yeah, we got another guy crown rogue, another enraged warrior, and another uh soul demon hunter here. So really, you want to talk about potential mirror matches? We're gonna have potential mirror matches here, which is gonna be very, very interesting.
Yeah. And I want to talk specifically about the warrior decks because the warrior decks, they both are kind of this enraged warrior, but there are some differences. For example, here, Minnie is actually running this double Reaper's Scythe,
Hmm.
and in kind of that cutting class package with that as well. But Harash was not running that. So
Nope.
there are some differences. We'll see if that pans out, if, like you mentioned, it does come into a mirror match scenario.
Yeah, Reaper's Sights has been really effective in warrior classes since it came out, and uh, so I know some classes obviously don't need it, or some archetypes of warrior don't need it. I am really interested to see how if this is gonna pan out with Minnie's warrior deck. Um, but going over to the rogue deck list here, just really similar. It's all around, with the exception, Minnie is bringing in the infiltrator Lillian, where Harash was not. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that is gonna play out. Um, when the rogue class comes out for Minnie.
Yeah, definitely a couple of differences there. I'm really curious to see just how this whole series goes. I think looking from Harash's side, it does seem like on paper there are quite a few unfavorable matchups,
Yeah.
or maybe slight unfavorables. But I also know that Harash is definitely a very skilled player, so has a lot of practice with these decks, and I am really just excited to see them play this match out and actually see how that experience with these decks affects those matchups.
Yeah, this is gonna be a real interesting matchup here. In Division 4, nothing is guaranteed. You win, you have a better chance of making a playoff spot. A loss doesn't necessarily end it for you, but puts you in a less favorable position here. We are going to have mirror matches all around with this matchup here. Harash versus Minney, Division 4 Insanity. Now, before, as we prepare for the competitors to get ready to start game 1, Dragon Rider, you know how I work. You know I'm all about the predictions and everything. You brought up on paper there were some mismatches with these games, with some of these games and everything. I gotta ask, are the mismatches going to affect one side or the other specifically?
Hmm.
I know
You
I'm putting you
know,
on the
that's
spot. I'm sorry, but
I know. I don't think there's any matchups that are severely different or unfavored. I think they're pretty close to 50-50s, maybe slightly unfavored, like for Harash. Uh, I really just think it is going to come down to these players' knowledge of the matchups and those couple of card choices that are different in each of the decks, like we saw. If I have to pick a player that I think will take it, I think I'm actually hedging towards Harash taking it though. And I think that also speaks to his banning out that druid because the druid definitely had a lot
yeah.
more bad matchups for his lineup. But I know he's got a lot of experience definitely with that demon hunter for sure. So I feel like he can take a win with that. I don't know. I think I'm gonna give it. It's probably gonna be like a 3-2 though. I feel like it's gonna be a close one.
Look, as long as we don't have a mirror match like our first week, where we're just back and forth all around, getting to the point where I'm screaming, just end the match already. I am fine with the game 5, but I will say that eh, the Reaper size to me is really interesting in that warrior deck for Mini. I'm really interested to see how that's gonna go, if it's gonna help or hurt them. But with that being said, yeah, the mismatches kind of favor Harash in this one. So I'm gonna say Harash gets the win 3-2 as well. As we prepare for game 1 of this series, we just got word that it's gonna be starting up very soon from our wonderful producer, Mr. Gnome. Him and Major have been doing a wonderful job all season long, and we just can't wait for the playoffs to start up for some more Hearthstone magic. So, Harash versus Mini, Division 4. Literally, the biggest. The, I think this is it's the division that is more wide open than anything else. You know, like
Yeah.
Division 2, the division I was in, you have 3 competitors. Division 1 has had, their players here and there. Division 4 has 6 competitors going for a playoff spot right now. As we see our first mirror match of the series. Warriors
There we
all
go.
around. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Minnie's gonna be getting the
Oh,
coin here. Good draw for Harash early on. Some early cost cards and a good mulligan for Mini as well. Getting the Armor Smith and the Corsair catch.
yeah.
Of course,
Finding that Ankar is pretty good already. Plus that means that Mini can just pull those out using that
yeah.
Ankar. So whereas Harash, yeah, had to make that decision of actually keeping those pirates or getting rid of those early on, like we saw, but maybe just plays out the one drop here. Yeah, looks like it.
Yep.
Oh, but finds the Ankar anyways. So forget everything I just said. Doesn't matter anymore.
And we got the Reaper Scythe in hand for Mini already. Not Mini could pull the coin. I don't think that's really necessary in this one. So we might just see Mini end turn here. Just kind of there's really not really a whole lot you can do. And that's exactly what we see here. As Harash comes in, just goes for the attack and decides to hero up. Or I'm sorry, hero power up, excuse me.
Yeah, I feel like this game is going to be multiple turns of
Yep.
not much going on until we get into kind of more of that mid game, and then all of a sudden one of these players is going to go all out with a big swing turn.
Mini using a coin and gonna bring in the War Mall Challenger. Well, we're gonna say goodbye to the pirate. Nice little play there to
Yeah.
put board advantage towards Minney. Now Harash has an they have a lot of plays. I don't think Lord Barav is the sensible play because you don't really have a way to board clear.
Yeah.
But you could bring in the other Sky Raider. You could bring in Ankar if you really wanted to. Get some more pirates, and I think that's gonna be the plan here. As Harash is going to attack face. Brings in a risky skipper. So just like that, now you had the chance to make some plays here with Lord Barav and the risky skipper.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely like playing out that Ankar from Harash there. And Mini responding with their own Ankar now. I had a choice there between the mercenary and the Ankar, but I kind of like going with the Ankar just
Yeah.
to get that draw going, kind of build up. Like I said, they're kind of big swing combo turns that they're looking for. They don't want to play a lot of these pieces out just for tempo. They really want to get those big swing turns.
Keep an eye out on this one. Mini has both Corsair catches in hand already and one Reaper's Scythe. So that's going to be very interesting to see down the line in this game as Harash really got some options here. You wouldn't want to pull the risky skipper Barav combo here right now because you just be getting rid of the Warmaul Challenger. If anything, you could pull the Sky Raider and the South Sea Captain.
Someone's gotta lead the charge.
Sky Raider comes in here. We get a Horde Pillager, which is gonna be huge. Because I believe that Anchor was the only weapon that Harash was rolling in this game. So now that Anchor is going away, you see the South Sea Captain come into play here. Give that pirate a boost. So we could be seeing Anchor make a return
Yeah.
to Harash in this game.
There still are 2 live wire lances in his list, if they ever get found, but
Yep.
yeah, and you did mention the double Corsair cache already from Mini. There's only one more weapon with that second copy of the Reaper's Scythe, so one of those is gonna end up being a
Just
completely dead card.
yeah. Mini here, you have options. I don't think the Corsair catch right now is necessary.
Yeah.
We're gonna see Inner Rage come in, or not. I'm sorry. Sky Raider comes in. Many just decided to toy with me because they know that we're doing a live game here. Inner Rage now comes in, and the Bloodsworn Mercenary comes in as well. So we're gonna have 2 copies of 3/7 Warmaul Challengers as we see the Anchor go away for Mini now. And right now, Mini's got that board presence that we were talking about. That Harash really had to combo for with Risky Skipper and Lord Barav. The question
Yeah.
is, would you play it now?
Yeah, that is the big question.
Because you also got the live wire Lance if you're
Yeah.
Harash, you could play that. Or if you want to get Ankar back into the fold, you got the Horde Pillager as well. So Harash had some chances, some good plays here. I think they're determining which is the right play in this scenario.
Yeah. I just feel like without a lot of the removal tools that these Enrage Warriors are running, a wider board from your opponent feels pretty scary. So I do like this play by Harash, just getting that board set so that Mini can't try to to get something crazy go off. And because it set all of that health to 1, nothing is damaged either.
Yep.
So it does really limit the possibilities that Mini has to be able to play another potential, big swing here.
A conundrum.
Mini kind of debate between the Armor Smiths and Sky General Crag, also maybe Reaper's Scythe, but it looks like would Reaper's Scythe actually be the play here? I don't think so. Really, not a whole lot Mini could do. If anything, maybe bring in the Armor Smiths for when Barav goes away. you got a whole bunch of opportunity to get that whole bunch of armor with the 4 deaths and everything. But
Yeah.
Minnie's kind of toying between the Reaper sights and the Corsair catch, and we see the Reaper sights come into play. Going to attack face. It looks like everyone's just going to attack face at this point. Brings
Yeah,
Harash
might as
his
well
health
push the
down to
damage.
18. Yeah. Now, if you're Harash, this is where things get interesting. Now, you got the other Warmaul. I'm sorry, you got Warmaul Challenger in hand right now. You also got Risky Skipper, the Horde Pillager. I'm sorry, 2 Risky Skippers, including the Horde Pillager and the Armor Smith. So
Yeah.
you have plenty of plays that you can work with. Do you want to sacrifice Lord Barav? Do you, to clear the board? Do what exactly do you want to pull if you're Harash to try to stay level in this game?
Yeah. Like you said, definitely a lot of options. I mean, it could be as simple as just trading in the Barov. Could try to save the Barov and use a skipper this turn. Um, Looks like he wants to go for the live wire lance first. I guess see what he gets here. There could be potential for. Well, the kobold is not it. I was
Not,
gonna say maybe taunting something up, but not gonna happen.
I think if they really want to, what they should have done, or actually no, the Armor Smiths wouldn't have worked in this case. But yeah, just there were a lot of opportunities for Harash, and we get a board clear in the end. So Minnie will play the Corsair catch to bring in the other Reaper's sight. So now that other Corsair catch is, like you said earlier on, it's a dead card.
Yeah.
As both Reaper's sights now will come into play. This one having 3 durability with the effects of Corsair catch. And now Harash is in a position where just going to attack with the Live Wire Lance. Let's see what they get. Ooh, the Faceless Lackey. That's going to be... that could be useful later on. But now if you're Harash, what do you do in this situation? Actually, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or not.
I mean,
Oh.
this is the turn where Harash can just take that initiative back. He
Yep.
was able to clear the board before, and now with an empty board, the only thing he really has to consider is the potential of Minnie's weapon there to be able to kind of have that cleave effect and attack, multiple things. But
You do
this is
have
kind of a small board.
you do have the spell burst in effect also for Reaper's
Yeah.
Sight.
Yep.
So you do have the potential for well, you had the potential to do some damage to the minions, but looks like that's not going to be the case as we see one Armor Smith, potentially both Armor Smiths come in. No, we'll see the Sky Raider come in now with a Horde Pillager of Minnie's own. So one of those Reaper Sights or the Ankar could be coming back. As you see, Battle Rage comes in. Warmaul Challenger, 2 Evil Quartermasters, and another card that will be determined in a short while here. Meanwhile, Harash still in that same position that they've been in earlier on. They got 10 cards in their hand, so they gotta play something before they go in with the Yank card there. Try to get another
The brute looks pretty good to me personally. It's discounted to 4, but maybe Harash wants to go for a big armor gain turn here.
I think that's gonna be the case. Kind of boost up that armor a little bit, get them some health and everything. Plus,
Yeah.
you're also clearing, getting some cards out of your hand, so you're able to draw a pirate. As we now see double Armor Smiths with the mercenary there. So now it brings it up from a simple 2 armor to now 10 armor right off the get-go. Now if you're Harash, I take that back. Now we got 12 armor. We see the end card come into play. Nice little attack there. And no pirates come into play. So they are out of pirates in this game. So the end card is there for damage.
Yes. And now we see the extra discounted brute on Minney's side as well. There are a lot of potential plays. And with that brute being discounted too, the brute and that mercenary coming into hand could give Minney really some great board clear here and put
Yeah.
out some big threats that might be difficult for Harash to deal with, because we've already seen Harash use the Bearov, and we've already seen one skipper and this first armor smith come down now. So this might be a little bit difficult for Harash to respond to.
We see one brute coming to play. The other mercenary will now come into play, brings in the other brute. Gonna knock out one of the armor smiths. The Reaper Sights will go after. Reaper Sights will go after the risky skipper there, and Minney will just end it with the hero power to stay somewhat in this match. But Harash is looking really good with that 15 armor there. They're in a good position right now. The question is, do you bring in the risky skipper plus Gara or Gramash? Instead, they're going to go with the brute of their own plus a Warmaul challenger. Maybe would that be
Yeah.
an interesting play here? But no, we're going to see an inner rage and a battle rage. See what they can get in hand. We got a Core Crown Elite,
Is the last
Bomb
one gonna be
Wrangler.
mercenary? No.
No.
Harash really was looking for a mercenary there to be able to copy that brute.
Yeah. But instead, one of Minney's brutes will go away. And it looks like they're just gonna do damage with the other Ankar, and the mercenary will take out the other brute. So Corsair Catch comes in with the other Livewire Lance. That's gonna end Harash's turn there. And Cutting Class gets drawn for Minney. And it looks like that's what we're going to see here, as it's Lord Barov and Battle Rage. As we'll see an Evil Quartermaster coming to play here. Get Minney a little extra armor here, as we see the Warmark Challenger just gonna take out that Cobalt just because. You would think the Bloodsworn Mercenary would take out the Brute to clear board and everything.
Yeah.
As he faceless like he comes in, summons a 2-cost monster. Minney's kind of looks like they might be hanging on to. Nope, I lied. They're going to be doing attack damage to Harash, bring down the armor just a little bit, whittle it down. We see the other Blood Boil Brute for Harash now, as we see the Risky Skipper and Bomb Wrangler.
Yeah, I like this. Harash needs to try to take back board a little bit. I did originally like the play that Harash made several turns ago of using the mercenary on that turn to gain a bunch of extra armor, but it kind of ended up backfiring because then he didn't have a mercenary available to copy the brutes, and kind of caused a little bit of awkwardness, and he did have to take some extra damage because of that. But this turn, trying to just get back in and take back this board, I guess at this point a matter of debating if he actually wants to play one of his own Warmaul challengers into this.
I think we're going to see the Livewire Lance. Yep, we're going to see Livewire Lance come into play now. Bring in a Faceless Lackey. Just going to hold on to it because it's not really any point of risking or wasting the Risky Skipper attack. We'll see in the other Blood Boil Brute coming to play for Minney. And the Horde Pillager as well. What do we get? We get Reaper's Size. Reaper's Size has made a return.
So they actually can play out a spell and use that spell burst effect if they really want to here. I don't know. It would probably have to be hitting into like the bomb, and you still have to trade in with the brute.
I think that is the game plan
Yeah, it looks like
going
it.
in here. Shield of Honor getting drawn for Minney. Might want to keep an eye on that. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Bomb goes in on the brute, does 1 damage.
That was a good result for Minney.
Yeah.
Because 3 or 4 damage would have killed that, and now Harash has to answer this brute yet again.
You got 2 Warmaul challengers in hand. You also have the Gramash, but you really want to save that for later. Or do you? Because you only got that risky skipper up there. That's all you got. That is all you got. So, ooh, big hit there, knocking out the Horde Pillager.
I think we might just see the Grommash. I like it.
That would. It looks like that's gonna be the play.
Gonna maybe see what Lackey comes first. Okay.
Yeah, because that is going to hurt. If you're Minney, that's really gonna hurt, guys. Plus, you also got the Cobalt there, but instead, they decided to just armor up, play it safe, and call it a turn. So now, if you're Minney, you gotta find a way to get rid of that Gramash. Otherwise, you are in trouble. A lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because you got the Cobalt, you got the Core Crown Elite, if you're Harash. So right now, they're looking at, oh my god. They found a way to cancel it out. No. Oh, I think. No, actually, no, they did the right play. I completely forgot they had the Armor Smith in there. So they will see that that Gramash go away.
Yeah.
So it was a good play by Harash to get that Gramash into play. But now Minney has a Gramash of their own, plus the risky skipper out on the field already. So we could be seeing a double take here where Minney brings in Gramash and just does the damage. As Minney will armor up, end the turn. And Harash, who had lethal after the last turn, just now's got to find a way to come back from this before the hurt comes a knocking.
Armor made to fit.
Yeah, this is this might actually go to fatigue, which is pretty interesting because I think originally looking at these, you think Enrage Warrior, that's not going to go to fatigue. It's all about the damage. But one big difference, and we talked about the difference in the deck list, is Minney has drawn way more cards.
Yeah.
So even though Minney has found a lot of those resources and those tools earlier, Harash has found ways to deal with these boards turn after turn after turn. And yeah, if we're looking at a possible fatigue game, then Minney is hurting in that case.
Especially now we see Titanic Lackey come into play on the Warmaul Challenger.
And look at this extra armor gain.
Yeah. Now if you're Minney, what do? You don't have any option of getting that Enraged Gramash out in the play.
I mean, the Gramash Inner Rage.
Yeah, Gramash Inner Rage. I kept thinking about the risky skipper and all that stuff, but you have 2 shields. You have an Evil Quartermaster. You also got a Sky General, and you got a dead card with the Corsair Catch. So not really the best. But wait a minute, you'll see Inner Rage come in here play, and then Shield of Honor. Could we see 2 Shields of Honor? No, we're only going to see 1, but that's really going to do it. That's all you're going to need. But then because they can, they're going to bring in the other one. So now it's at 18 and the Divine Shield. And Harash is just going to draw the Bloodsworn Mercenary. I don't think you're really doing a heck of a whole lot with that. They're going to try their luck with the Faceless Lackey, see what they get. They're going to get an Alpha Wolf, which normally would be nice. Not in this case.
Yeah, no. Needs to somehow generate another Titanic Lackey, or maybe several Titanic Lackeys. And hope that it just kind of slows Minney down a little bit. But Yeah, this is starting to look a little bit rough for Harash.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, I think I
Extra armor.
saw a play to get rid of the
Your
Gramash.
flaws are
The Bloodsworn, you was in the Core Crown Elite. Wait, no, that wouldn't work because you need to be damaged. Dang. I was thinking you
Yeah.
copy the Core Crown Elite, got two of them, not got the Divine Shield, not got the Gramash. But then I'm reading it, it's like, wait, they're not damaged. Damn. This is my mind in Hearthstone, thinking of all the wrong plays. As we see the Core Crown Elite come into play now. And look like they're just gonna attack faces to get rid of that shield, but they're gonna level up because they're gonna need it.
Yeah, I think at
Especially
this
with
point,
that Core Crown Elite.
yeah, Harash just wants to get as much on the board as possible to try to deal some damage next turn and hope that there's not enough damage from Minney's side, but this is still a lot of damage.
That is going to hurt. You also got the Sky General for the little protection there. And we're gonna see 18 damage coming in hot. Knocks Harash down to 11. What is it? Battle Rage. You got a couple damage minions with the Warmaul challengers. We're gonna see 3 cards get drawn. Bomb Wrangler being one of them. Inner Rage, and the other Core Crown Elite as well. If I'm doing, let's see here. So you're gonna have. You gotta get rid of that Sky General. That's the thing.
What now?
So.
There
I'm doing the
might
math right.
is there a way to do this? There might be a way to actually kill the Grommash. I think taking advantage of the positioning from this wolf here.
I think that's gonna be the call there. Knock out the Gramash. And that just puts Minney back in that position that we were talking about early on once he got to the fatigue and everything, because you have nothing.
Yeah. I have to get a great lackey here. That's
not gonna help.
not quite enough.
Not gonna help at all. And
nope.
In mirror match number 1, a mirror match includes certain quantity here. Harash is gonna take the game. Really, just a back and forth all the way through. But when we got close to the end game, Dragon, you said yourself, the fatigue battle did not work for Minney. It was not gonna help him in the long run. Plus, you also had both Corsair catches in hand to start the game, plus your Ankar, plus a Reaper's Slice. So you had a dead card one way or another. So that there were just a lot of setbacks for Minney. It looked good on the field, but in hand, there were a lot of setbacks that really just didn't help him in the long run.
Yeah, just wasn't quite enough and ended up just, sometimes that can happen regardless of the deck variant, but Warrior especially has just really been prone to that, of that whichever one draws more usually ends up losing the game because the other Warrior has enough tools and answers to keep the game going to that long game. So, whoever draws more ends up just taking that fatigue and can't quite get through. And I think we definitely saw that here. So yeah, Harash going up 1-0 with that Warrior.
Yeah.
And that Priest being banned out. So has to get a win with the Soul Demon Hunter and that Galakron Rogue still. Which one do you think that he queues up next?
I think it's going to be the Soul Demon Hunter. Because I think if you're Harash, you want to save the Galakron Rogue for last. Because you could be in a position where you could be up 2-0, you could be up 2-1. It could also be up 2-2. I just think you get the Demon Hunter out of the way. If you win, awesome. You don't have to use it again. Because we know, the Soul Demon Hunter has been 50-50. It can work great for you. It can work horribly for you. It just depends on what you get, with your draws and everything. But the Galakron Rogue, especially with Harash's, you have options galore with that, and I don't see a reason why you would want to bring that in where the potential of losing it and then Minnie realizing, hey, I get to see the rogue again in a later matchup. So I think the Soul Demon Hunter here for Harash will come into play. As for Minnie, I think the question is, do you try again with the warrior because it
Yeah.
worked well at certain points, or do you try with your own Soul Demon Hunter or Galakrond Rogue? I think that's the question there.
Yeah, I think I agree there. I think from Harash, I would like to see the Soul Demon Hunter next. Try to give that rogue, because sometimes rogue can just kind of, beat itself.
Yeah.
It can lose to itself, just because the draws aren't there. So I think I'd like to see that Soul Demon Hunter. Wouldn't mind seeing the warrior again for Mini, just to try to, to get some big wide boards there, and hopefully beat down whatever deck Harash does end up bringing. So hopefully we will be jumping into that game momentarily. We'll have for you. But
Yep.
yeah, I guess we didn't mention it is Conquest. So
Yes.
these players do have to get a win with each of the decks that was not banned out, which is why we're talking about kind of what decks are left.
Yep. So
Mm.
Harash going into game two up 1-0. Just needs a win with the Demon Hunter and the Rogue. Meanwhile, Minnie, you have your options. You have your options to try to tie it up because if you're in a 2-0 hole, the pressure is on then. That's when things
Embrace the
might go
chaos.
your way, as will indeed. What are you doing, Harash? We get to see the
It is
Galakrond
Rogue.
Rogue. Is that what we talked about? All right, I guess we're doing this.
That's all right.
Meanwhile,
I want to see this. We get to see it regardless. Let's get it out of the way. Let's see this rogue take this win.
Minnie's gonna bring back the warrior. And if I'm Minnie, just stay. Don't take any more cards. Don't mulligan. It didn't work the last time. Just keep the cards the way they are now. Now for Harash, you got two legendaries with the Janice Barav and Lord Keeper Polecat. You also got the Evil Miscreant and the Shield of Galakrond. I don't think you need uh Jandis right away. You might be better on mulliganing that and trying your luck with a lesser cost card, provided you get it, of course. But instead, it looks like they're gonna keep it as game two is underway.
Job's done.
Maybe just gonna get in. That's not really a heck of a whole lot you can do, so they're just gonna pass the turn.
Yeah.
Oh, I see now. Actually, Harash did drop the Shield of Galakrond and the Janet Barra for 2 Seal Fates.
Job's done.
As you see Corsair
Yeah.
Catch coming to play, and that Ankar, that is gonna be very interesting to watch when the Ankar comes into play. Harash will use a coin, brings an Evil Miscreant for the combo. We got a Witchy Lackey and a Titanic Lackey, so
Yeah, I'm a little bit
Job's done.
worried with this hand for Harash as the rogue. Looking at double Seal Fate and that backstab against a deck like this Enrage Warrior, where the warrior is going to be damaging all of their stuff anyways, so it's going to be probably really difficult for Harash to actually be able to use all of those. He's going to have to really be careful of how he uses those, and might have to try to use some of those the first chance he can.
yeah, Harash is in a position where you do you go with the lackeys? Do you try, the spy mistress?
Seal
It
Fate
just
face even,
wouldn't hurt, but
yeah.
the Witchy Lackey
Whew,
comes in now. Ooh.
Home in the shadows.
And
that's
Spy
a good
Mistress,
result.
really good result. As is that. Yeah, really good result for Harash there. Getting a real good board presence early on. Now, remember, I mean, obviously, the Spy Mistress is a taunt, but it's also stealth, so Minnie doesn't have
Yeah,
to worry about dealing with the taunt until the stealth goes away. Now,
yeah.
if you're Minnie,
A conundrum.
you have the Risky Skipper, and the Lord Barav. You could pull that combo out of your head if you really want to clear that damage, especially with the spell damage ogre there, and 2 seal fates. And the backstab.
Yeah.
Don't forget the backstab.
Yeah. All right, gonna dig a little bit to see what other pirate comes in hand here. Second skipper. But yeah, even though the stealth minion has that taunt and the taunt isn't in effect, but the play there by Harash, not only putting it on that taunt, but it added the 2 health, which did put it out of range of the skipper. And I think that was the part that Harash was really going for there. So yeah, Minney ends up just going for the hero power and not doing anything else there.
We see a seal fate come in, and another Titanic lackey with that Galakron hero power there. Now, would a smart play be to give that 2 and the taunt? I think that's going to be the case here, as we're going to see face attacks all over, but keep an eye on that spy mistress, because that's still stealth. It's still got taunt.
Yeah.
So that... Now, if you're Minney, this might be a time to play risky skipper Lord Barad just to get that board clear.
Might have to, yeah. There's not a lot of other answers.
A conundrum.
You're not in the favorable position right now with everything you have. You don't have any minions on the board.
Yeah.
You got so much. Harash has the polecat. They have the Galakron. You have a Shadow Step, and that's exactly what we see.
Yeah.
Lord Barav doing the major board clear with that risky skipper in hand, and Sky Raider now comes in and grabs a Horde Pillager. So
We're just gonna continue seeing Horde Pillagers, just every time.
Yeah. Now the question is, if you're Minney, do you throw the Horde Pillager out there to get the your Ankar back, or do you wait till the Reprecise come into play and go from there?
There could be some other plays, I think, from now until the point with the Reprecise come into hand. Depending on what comes out onto the board from Harash, there could be a Warmaul Challenger mercenary play. Maybe it's something with this other skipper. Maybe it's just, a play with going for some charge and trying to deal some damage.
As we see Lord Keeper Polecat come into play right now to rearrange that deck. I believe it was rearranging from highest to lowest.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
Just want to get my facts straight before I actually say it. As Minney will bring in the Horde Pillager to bring back that Ankar. And the question is, do you just attack face, add some pressure? Or do you want to try and get rid of that polecat, which could hurt?
It's like going for some draw. I like the slight correction there on the ordering, deciding to attack with that Ankar first.
Yep.
And then potentially play out the battle rage here for some more draw.
Yeah, because you had the Sky Raider get drawn there. Nope, we're just going to see a hero power.
Yeah.
Minney is embracing...
Minney would overdraw.
Yeah. As we see a Cross come in for Harash. Not really a card you would want to play now because you already got a Galakron in hand. So, but definitely a card that will come into play the turn after Galakron comes into play. As we see Seal Fate number 2 boosting up Galakron here, going for the Witchy Lackey, which actually could definitely if you're Harash, you would attack with Polecat, which looks like exactly what they're gonna do. Take out the Lord Barav and brings in a I cannot remember that card to save my life. The Phalanx Commander. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Which would have been great if you had the taunts, but you don't have the taunts anymore.
Yeah. Hmm.
Now the question is, do you go for the Eviscerate, or do you just hold off there? Or do you do Shadow Step to the Witchy Lackey for yet another boost up? And I think that's exactly what we're going to see here. Harash bringing back the Witchy Lackey, going for daggers, and then bringing... Oh, no Witchy Lackey. Okay. So now Minney gotta do
Min-
something.
Yeah, this hand's really awkward, I think, for many. There's
Yeah.
not really a lot of proactive stuff, and the proactive stuff that is in hand doesn't really answer the 4/5 very well.
We see a Draconic Lackey. First time we've
Yeah.
seen that in this series. And oh, we're gonna see
Okay.
Brightwing come into play here. All right. Very interesting as we see Sky Raider come in, bringing the random Captain Greenskin. Keep an eye on that for when the Reaper sites come into play. That
Yeah.
is gonna be huge.
And the hand is full now from Minnie,
Oh
though.
no.
Will overdraw the next turn.
And depending on what the overdrawn card is gonna be, that it could help or it could, I'm not gonna say it's gonna help. It could hurt him either a little bit or it's gonna hurt him a lot. As we see Galakron come into play for Harash. Brings in the Flick and the Jandis both now at 1 cost. Wow.
And that's that power and that potential of that Polkelt in this deck. You can fit a lot of different stuff in here.
As we see Witchy Lucky come in now.
This
Cutting class gets burnt out, so
is there a way Minnie can kill that and pull something out of the hand from Harash?
I am not sure.
That could actually be pretty devastating for Harash if that gets killed and actually pulls out that Jandis.
When you think about it, you have because you got the Kronks, you got the Togwaggle, the Flick, or the Jandis. So you got 4 legendaries.
Well, it'll pull out the lowest cost thing though, so that's why it would pull out the Jandis or the Flick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But gonna go for damage. Look at this.
And you're gonna. Oh my gosh! It just got lethal. No, they don't got lethal.
It's 1 off.
Oh, so close, but that put it on a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But I think we'll just see Crocs coming. We can see Crocs and then the
see the Flick.
Oh no, we'll see the Flick come in. So Flick, maybe Jandis, but definitely Crocs will come into play here because you gotta do something.
Yeah.
If you're Harash, you gotta do something about that health. You gotta get some protection, or you gotta get health or something.
This is so awkward too, because if Harash wants to go for just dealing 5 to everything on the board, it would pull that Jandis out of hand. So that's why it looked like he might have been hovering over that to play first, but then again, if he goes for the Kronks, he can't really clear the board. So has to kind of figure out a different way to do this. I like this Jandis first though. If there's something that's kind of bad, he could use the Faceless with it, but hoping for a taunt, I think, because being at 1 health is pretty scary.
And we will see Crocs come into play. I think that would be the play. No, we're gonna go for the taunt, which is still a smart play. As Harash goes for a face, they're just barely hanging in there.
Cobalt Lackey could end it right here. That is it.
That's gonna do it. That is gonna do it. Cobalt Lackey ends it for Minnie, ties it up, gets the win with that warrior. We talked about it after game 1. You didn't want to bring in the rogue. You didn't want to bring in the rogue. That was definitely gonna be your go-to card to put it away. So now, and again, look, all due credit for Minnie. Compared to game 1, you had a lot better draws. Yeah. You had a lot, more options. Sure, you had an awkward situation mid-game here and there, but you were able to pull it off. You're able to get the board clears with the Baraf and the Risky Skipper. And you're just able, it was just the luck of that Kobold Lackey. Just knocking it out. going from there. But look, Harash made some good plays. It just the two core crown elites really did a number on you, and now we have a tight series.
Yeah. Yep. And it's, you mentioned in the very early part of the broadcast today about the standings and kind of
Yeah,
what these players are playing for. And, when it is coming down to playing for playoff spots, there are so many players that are like neck and neck in these standings for, potential top 2 spots in each division and also for the wild card spots. And, getting a win, of course, could solidify that, but every game in
yeah,
the series could matter because some of the wildcard spots actually will come down to game wins instead of just the game record itself. So
yeah,
getting these wins could be very, very important for these players.
yeah, and especially if you're Mini, you need a lot of you basically you can't go to a game 5. Going to a game 5 is not going to help you at all
Right.
because you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 out of the 6 that are at 17 wins, and Mini's at 14. So
Yeah.
Mini is like to stay alive. Mini is desperate for a win. They basically got to win out from here on. Otherwise, put it simply, a loss here is going to jeopardize any chance you have of making the playoffs. Was a wild
Yeah.
card spot. Regardless, I mean, if you win and you're able to get that number 2 seed or that 2 spot in Division 4, that's great. But if you lose in a game 5 or a game 4, so look, a loss is going to hurt you regardless. You need to win game 3 to have any
Right.
hope of staying in contention here. Now,
Yeah.
we talked after game 1 about like what decks to go with. Harash, I am begging you, go with the Soul Demon Hunter. Don't bring out the Rogue, please. I'm
Do
begging
it.
you. But if you're Mini now, the question is: do you go with the Soul Demon Hunter, or do you go with your own version of Galakrond Rogue? That's
Well, I mean, the Galakrond Rogue is one of those matchups that's slightly unfavored into the Demon
yeah.
Hunter. So, at this point, it's either you go for hope you hit a 50-50 and hit one of the mirror matches, or one of them is gonna be in an unfavored matchup. But there's not really a way around that because these
Mm.
lineups are, so close to each other that we talked about how many potential mirror matches we're going to see. So it's either going to come down to it's going to be a mirror or one of them is going to be slightly unfavored. There's just no way around it.
Depending on what the mirror match is, if it's Soul Demon Hunter, I'm all for it. If it's Mirror Galakrond,
I'm
Dragon
for
you
it.
might be doing this cast solo. I'll see you for the second series here. Game 3 getting going here in just a few minutes. Again, we have stated earlier, Mini to stay alive in the playoff race, they need this win. A game 3 loss is really going to hurt. A loss in this series basically puts them out of contention, knocks them out of a playoff contention or wildcard contention here. So if you're Mini, this game is more important than any other game you're gonna play in Aspirant this season. As we're just waiting word for both players getting going here in game 3 to see what kind of matchup we're gonna get. And once again, if you guys are just tuning in, we are currently on a 10-minute delay. These matches tonight are live as we wind down the last week of the regular season. So matches are live. We're on a 10-minute delay for competition integrity and everything along those lines. So we do apologize. We don't want any stream snipers. We've been very adamant about that all season long. As we just wait for we're still waiting apparently for game 3.
That's right.
And
Okay, so let me
yeah,
let me ask you. We
sure.
we looked at the lists. We talked
Yes.
about the couple of card differences. Do you think that one of the card lists with the slight differences is going to give one of the players an edge over the other? Do you think there's a certain card choice that they made that might give them an edge?
It's got to be Harash with the Galakron Rogue just in general. Like we said at the beginning, you have so many options. Janet Barav is a hit and miss card. No, some decks have it, some decks don't. Uh, but you also got a High Sparrow Talgwaggle that can always add some options to you. Flick, which could really hurt your opponent depending on what card you get rid of. Obviously, it didn't work well for Harash in the last game with those two Core Crown at least because they
Right.
already did the damage. But we saw what they could do. Uh, so yeah, it just I don't think there's really a card that stands out, but just more like the deck in general. Now if you're Minney looking on the other side here, it just you don't you have you have similar, but the one card that does stand out for Minney is that Infiltrator Lillian because
Yeah.
you don't really see it a lot in Galakron decks. It's just more they just have a bit of a buffer, really. So for Minney, if we see the rogue come into play, if you're Minney, we could see how Infiltrator Lillian does in that regard. But again, for Harash, it was just there were so many options to roll with that Galakron Rogue, and it just there's not a card that just sticks out. Whereas Infiltrator Lillian just looks like it's a card that's there. As we finally get game 3 going, and Minnie will bring out the Rogue, where Harash is like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to the caster here. I'm gonna bring in the Soul Demon Hunter, which I believe you said that this is one of those mismatches earlier in the stream. You brought up the mismatch for I believe the Minnie's Rogue over
Yeah.
the Demon Hunter.
So yeah, the rogue's a little bit unfavored in this one. But again, it's only unfavored by like a
Yeah,
couple of percents. It's still pretty close to that
it's close.
50-50. So it really does come down to those couple of card choices and kind of I really do think just how these players know the matchups. How well do they know this matchup? How prepared are they for this match specifically? And can they pull it off? I think you're kind of talking about the slight differences, and yeah, I do think that Infiltrator Lillian here for Minnie is a little different,
Done.
as well as the one copy of Devoted Maniac.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that really does make an impact if it ends up coming into play. But this is a good start for Harash, finding some of this early game, being able to start that soul fragment generation
Yep.
already is pretty good for the Soul Demon Hunter.
Yep. As we see backstab come into play, and Minnie's just gonna get rid of that Spirit Jailer right away. But you already got two soul crystals in your deck already. Wandmaker comes out. The Demon Companion really has played really well for the Demon Hunter itself. It's obviously it's a Demon Hunter equivalent to the Animal Companion, and everything that we've seen in Hunter. So the fact that Demon Hunter has been able to get that equivalent, especially just like that, you get a 2-1 2-1 charge and another Spirit Jailer, just to boost up those soul crystals and everything. As this match really back and forth early on, as we see a Seal Fate come in for Minnie.
And see the difference in just the matchup and how more useful
Yeah.
the Seal Fate and the Backstab have been in this matchup than it was for Harash against that warrior.
Oh, hey, there's that Cobalt Lackey that knocked out the Rogue last game.
It's that Cobalt Lackey. It's there.
It's there, and just like that, it's gone.
Yep. Goodbye. Okay. No more Shoot Lackey. It's
Yep.
gone. The top deck
Ooh.
Curve Jandis. That's looking spicy.
Janice comes into play. We are going to see the Reborn
Shadow Step.
gets it. As we see a Shadow Step now. So now, if you're Minney, would you bring in the Faceless Corruptor after you attack with the 4/2 Reborn? Just get some board presence on there because that little mirage effect that Janet Barrows brings is going to go away if you bring in the Faceless Corruptor and you make that 4/2 a 4/4 copy. Is that to play in hand if you're Minney?
I guess it really depends on what Harash does. If Harash ends up clearing the first half of that stealth, then yeah, I could see just maybe an attack in and then Faceless Corruptor that second half. Um,
Maybe.
if Harash takes a more kind of passive approach to the turn and maybe sets up a weapon or just draws, doesn't really actually do anything to interact with Minnie's board, that could change.
We're going to see Alturius come into play, followed by a Soul Shear. 2 Soul Fragments go into the deck. And we're going to see both of them get knocked out. But remember, that Reborn effect, as we see Janice Parov come back in for Minney. Ooh. The Rasp Spike Brute and Malagos. Malagos is going to be the Mirage here. Witchy Lackey comes in. Gadgetzan Auctioneer replaces it. That's actually a smart play there. Especially the fact you're going to get a Wand Thief here. And
Frost Bolt. Oh, that's so good against Soul Demon Hunter.
And that's exactly what Minney is thinking right there. Wow.
So good.
As Pharaoh Cat comes in, brings in the Ancestral Guardian. As Alturius gets knocked out, and now the tempo would kind of shift there. It was really balanced to start the game, and now it's more advantage Minney. And just as I say that, they knock out a Soul Fragment and knock out the majority of that board.
Yeah, and I mean,
am I jinx? Like, seriously? Am I a jinx or something?
I did that the very first game too. I was talking about the no Ankar for Harash, and then he drew it immediately. So
yep.
It's the caster curse. That's what it is.
Minney, Harash, we apologize. We really do. Meanwhile, Blade Dance will come into play here. And we're just going to get a nice little board clear from Harash. Bringing the tempo back more towards a balanced approach. Now,
so many options.
Frostbolt's going to come in, freezes the hero there, so we're not going to see a hero attack. We will see a Ethereal Lackey.
Another Shadow Step could be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And a Witchy Lackey comes in, brings in the Taunt Reborn.
That's a pretty good result there.
So Minnie's looking good right now, really in this back and forth matchup, but we see 2 more Soul Fragments come into play. Plus, you got the Chaos Strike, your Hero Power. Those Morrowind Slicer, that one is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Ancestral Guardian comes in now. You're going to have Lifesteal in effect as Minney fills up the board with minions galore.
Yeah. I mean, why not? The previous turn you saw, or I guess a couple of turns ago, you saw Harash play out, one of the board removals and a Blade Dance in the same turn. So it's a little less likely that Harash has the potential to clear the board again. So why not take that advantage and try to just go wide and stick another board? But Harash, again, like Soul Demon Hunter, can do pretty well finding answers here.
Gladebound Adept comes in, knocks out the Ancestral Guardian, but the Reborn brings it back. So now Minney is looking really good here because with that Ancestral Guardian, you're going to have Lifesteal. So if you wanted to, you could bring the Guardian to attack face instead. I was going to say attack the Gladeborn Adept, but you can do that also. And it looks like Jadal is going to attack face somewhat as the Faceless Corruptor might come into play. Maybe.
Unless Minney wants to change the plan up and go for a Shadow Step and then the Wand Thief. But The
I
Faceless
don't
still puts out a lot of threats on the board here.
I don't think the Shadow Step, or excuse me, I don't think I was gonna say like if they did like Faces Corruptor into Wand Thief, I didn't think the Shadow Step would be necessary, but that Polymorph is definitely gonna be necessary.
Or the
Oh
Eviscerate.
no.
Not enough
We
to
see.
end the game this turn, though.
No, but we're gonna see Polymorph knocks out the Gladebound Adept,
Yeah.
and we're gonna see that shape go bye-bye. So Harash needs help, a lot of help, or else they are in trouble. And Sociologist comes in, but that's not that's
I think it's a clear, though, between
I think you're right.
between the rushers and then the blade dance if you need to finish something up. But this is going to put out a full board of rushers here
Oh boy.
against a fairly small, small minion size board from Minney. Can make some value trades and then just use that blade dance. Sitting at 2 health, though, little scary.
As the
Lot of-
Marwin Slicer goes away. Yeah, not a whole lot many
Not-
can do with this one here.
Yeah.
And I think
And-
they're realizing that right now, so they're just going to attack face and hope for the best.
And just like that game turned around. I mean, look at that. That was an insane board swing for Harash.
And it looks like we might see Shadow Step come into play. No, we're not going to see Shadow Step come into play, but we see Soul Fragment as well as the Adraki Warblades
Yeah.
in hand. And like you said earlier, the tide turned.
I give up.
And Minnie's realizing that there is no way that they're going to be able to survive this, especially with that Kane. So now Harash is able to get the win with the Soul Demon Hunter and goes up 2-1. And that just hurts for Minnie. We talked about going into this game. You needed to win this game to stay alive. And that's just really going to hurt them down the line.
Right.
So now all Minnie can do is just hope for a series win. They need to force a game 5. They need to win game 4, obviously, because if he loses this out. But you need to not only force a game 5, but you also need to win the game 5. And depending on what you go with, the rogue worked well for you to a point.
Yeah.
Harash was able to turn that around right away with the sociologist and everything.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about how that Soul Demon Hunter was a little favored. So now we could see that reverse here where Harash is the one that has the rogue left. It's the only option. So we might see Minnie bring that Soul Demon Hunter this time to have that slight advantage and try to at least take it to game 5 rather than going for that 50-50 mirror match. I would not be surprised to see the Soul Demon Hunter come out, but
I
we'll
would not be
see.
I would not be surprised either. I really think that Harash's rogue has a better advantage over Minnie's rogue.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this really puts Minnie in a corner. Minnie trying to stave off elimination and also trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Harash, meanwhile, just needs one more win. They need to win this game, and they're looking really good for a playoff spot in a really wide open Division 4. Game 4 coming your way, and we will have
Always do.
Mere
It's the
Rogues.
Rogues.
Mere
All
Rogues.
right.
Here we go. We
Ooh,
see Crocs and Galakron come in for Harash. Plus that praise Galakron early on. Meanwhile, Minnie's gonna get the Wand Thief, the Devoted Maniac, a Spy Mistress, and the Evil Miscreant, plus the coin off of that full mulligan.
yeah, one of these players definitely has a much better starting hand here.
Yes.
For the early game, at least. If I anticipate this game definitely going long enough to get to that Galakron. So I'm sure Harash can find a way to get to that point, and then having, as we were talking about earlier, why would we even try to say things? Because then they just draw it immediately. So
I'm just gonna go with what I'm seeing on the screen right now.
Yeah.
As we see 2 Goblin Lackeys go into the hand off the Evil Miscreant for Minney. Meanwhile, we got a Grand Mummy and the Cobalt Lackey. Really the only viable options. Or you can Hero Power if you're Harash and attack face if you wanted to. But it's just what there's not a whole lot Harash can do here. Really until turn 5 when you bring in that Shield of Galakrond and invoke to get even more powerful Galakrond in the fold.
Yeah, Harash needs to draw something to play next turn. Really needs something to kind of fill in the curve. But I think Harash is pretty set once it gets to that 5, 6, 7 turns. There's definitely a lot of powerful stuff that Harash is going to be able to start doing. But I like that a lot because it shuts off the possibility of Minney actually playing a Seal Fate on Harash's face there.
And
But,
we see the Shadow Step come into play again. 2 more lackeys plus a Wand Thief. And you got some options with this one. Apex Blast and Mirror Entity. And we're gonna see Apex Blast get selected here. Plus a Draconic Lackey. Ooh, big old whelp. I would have gone with the Mage Scribe there, just because you already have spells in hand. And especially if you were to use Eviscerate to get that card back, that could have definitely done some damage. I think that might have been a missed opportunity by Minney there, as Harash knocks out the Draconic Lackey. We see a Seal Fate for Minney, and it looks like we're gonna see. I would think the smart play would be the Evil Miscreant knocks out the damaging Evil Miscreant. As we see another Shadow Step. You wouldn't have played it. Okay, yeah, you're not going to play it again.
No.
The hand's already full of lackeys. Enough is enough.
Yeah, especially with this Kronk sitting in hand too, though. Like a Shadow Step on a Kronk looks pretty good.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we'll see a Shield of Galakrond off of turn 5 for Harash. Kind of like what we said earlier, you really didn't have a heck of a whole lot to do. But you still have the Cobalt Lackey in play, so Heist Baron Togwaggle could be coming into play here next turn if you're Harash. Provided, of course, the Lackey still lives.
Yeah. It's kind of the biggest question mark, I think, is if these players want to allow their opponents to keep lackeys on board or not.
Crimson Hothead gets selected off the Draconic Lackey.
That's not bad.
Nope, not
could
bad
play
at
it and go for the Shadow Step if Minney really wants to, but not necessary quite yet.
So we're gonna see the Cobalt Lackey go the way, which again reduces the chance of Heist Baron Togwaggle coming to play next turn. For Harash, we see Shadow Step. And then that's just going to end the turn there. So you have a 0-cost Ethereal Lackey in hand for Minney, and the options are limitless now when it comes to the possibility of spells. Meanwhile, Harash will bring in another Shield of Galakrond. Plus, he also got that Goblin Lackey. And let's see here. 2 Faceless Lackeys and an Ethereal Lackey. So next turn, we might be seeing Lackey plus Togwaggle. Cause I don't see Galakrond. I don't think you would want to play Galakrond now. Meanwhile, we'll see 1 Faceless Lackey come into play here. A Lore Keeper Polecat gets drawn and immediately gets played there. So now Minney.
Yeah, this works out really well.
Yes. The shield goes away. The Lackey will go away. The Goblin just gonna attack face. And Minney ends the turn there. Now Shadow Step comes into play for Harash. What you could do... Alright, so Jaguar, hear me out this, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
Anyone of the lackeys. Doesn't matter which one. You take your pick. Heist Baron Togwaggle. You grab the wand. Shadow Step Togwaggle. Get him out for the next turn. And then for your next turn, provided your lackey is still there, Togwaggle or lackey Togwaggle, wind again, and go nuts. Sounds like a good idea, right? You would think. One would think.
Could. You could also take if you went that route and went for bouncing the Tog and playing Tog multiple times. Could take the wand one time and maybe the crown the second time.
That's
Just
true.
to really kind of
Yep.
keep some threats out on the board that Minney now has to answer.
As we
Here
see
we go.
Aspirant Togwaggle come into play here. The wand gets selected first. Backstab.
Gonna
Gonna
take
knock
out some
out.
of the board.
Yep. Polka goes away. And I just realized that they used Shadow Step on the Ethereal Lackey. As we will see the other Ethereal Lackey now from Minney coming to play here. No Shadow Step. So no chance for a combo there. But meanwhile, Minney's just gonna attack face, whittle down the damage a little bit. You also got Galakron in hand. For Minney and for Harash. Now, if you're Harash, you do have the Fan of Knives. You can knock out the lackeys. You could cancel out. You could trade with the Togwaggles, or if you actually that wouldn't work. I was thinking you could bring in the faceless Corruptor, but instead we're gonna see a Lord Keeper Polecat of Harash's own. So next turn, I know we're gonna see the Wondrous Wand
Yep.
actually here. There goes Flick, Faceless Corruptor, and Jandis Barav.
Oh, that is a pretty big swing if Harash wants to go in on a lot of those here.
I don't think that's the smart play right now. I think they would just hold off. Maybe just bring the Faceless Corruptor.
I don't mind the Faceless and potentially even the Jandis. But probably not playing the Flick as well, but could hold on to it.
Yeah, just hold on to it for next turn, because you never know what you'll get when you play Galakron if you're Harash. Meanwhile, Minnie's going to draw the Flick of their own. You would think if they use it, they're going to bring in, knock out the Faceless Corruptors. Because you got the 2 on the field plus the 1 in hand. So that's a threat. That'll be a threat wasted. No, we'll see Devoted Maniacs instead.
Yeah.
Brings in a Cobalt Lackey. We're going to see the Wondrous Wand, Faceless Corruptor, Jandis Barav, and Shield of Galakron. Oh,
immediately plays out that Jandis.
Wow. And Shield of Galakron comes in. You know, just add more lackeys to the hand, why don't you? Meanwhile, Faceless Corruptor will corrupt the Cobalt Lackey. And they're just gonna look like they're gonna no, they're not gonna trade out, excuse me, I'm sorry. But they're gonna knock out the Devoted Maniac and one of the Faceless Corruptors. Gonna knock out the 2 Faceless Corruptors on Harash's side. So now Togwaggle is the only creature left on the board for Harash. And now you got that Van Cleef getting drawn. First time we've seen them in this game.
There's a decent amount of low-cost stuff in Harash's hand, too. So this Edwin could get ugly.
But you also got to keep in mind that Minnie's got the Flick in hand as well. So if you're Harash, you want to try and keep that... you want to try and draw that Flick out. Sure. So that we don't have to worry about Harash.
Those are some low rolls on Harash's side as well. The 3/2 is not really what you want to see as a 5-drop.
No, it is not.
Ooh. That that Fan of Knives is looking a little better here because of that awesome 2-drop that just came out here.
Yeah, it is. So now, can't use the seal Fate.
No.
But They're going to knock that shield out and bring in Edwin Van Cleef. Going to give it an 8-8. So good board presence for Harash right now.
That coerce is looking pretty good for Minney too.
And I
Doesn't
think
even
we're
need to use.
gonna see Chorus come into play here
Yeah,
to knock out that Edwin.
yeah. Doesn't have to use the flick on it, which is great, right? Because isn't
Yeah.
Minney running an Edwin in their deck as well? So
I believe so.
Yep.
Let me take a look here.
So-
Yes, they are.
that
so we'll
coerce was a
see.
great pickup a couple turns ago.
Yes, it was. So we'll see Seal Fate come in as Galakrond will come in as well. A fully powered Galakrond, so we can get that 5-2 claw for damage. And look at that. You got a full hand, it looks like, for Harash. So depending on what you get, you might be burning a little something there. But
Yeah, but does it
Look-
matter? Because
no, it
Harash
doesn't.
is now Galakrond with Kronks and Double Eviscerate and a Cobalt Lackey in hand. That's a lot of damage.
Yes, it is. But the problem is you're not going to be able to... I don't think you'll be able to get it off. I don't think you can get it off, though, because you don't have really any way to get health. You don't have the spell power, so the Crimson Hothead's not going to work. Unless somehow you're able to switch off for a taunt minion. But that's not going to help.
Yep.
And that's going to do it. So Harash is going to take the win and the series 3-1.
Wow.
And with that, Harash is not... They haven't qualified for the playoffs, but they are in a prime position. Minney, unfortunately, basically, let's just say what it is. Minney was eliminated from playoff contention. They needed the win in this series to stay alive some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Valiant effort by Minney in this series, but in the end, Harash gets the win. They improve to 5-3. They get game win number 20. So they will move on. Let me see here. Excuse me here. Let me get the let me do the math here. So Harash is going to go 5-3, 20-15 in the game wins losses. So depending on the other results from Division 4, that's really going to help Harash. The highest they can get is the 2 seed, depending on other results.
Right.
So they could be an automatic qualifier in that case, or they're really in prime position for one of the 6 wildcard spots. But like we said, going into this stream, Division 4 was wide open. We're going to definitely see a bunch of 5-3s that don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And there's none of that. And that's rough, but it's just the way that this season has gone out. No one expected a wide open division like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of players with such similar records that I don't feel like we've seen this many people at such close records in previous seasons. So it's really been something to see for sure. But yeah, congratulations to Harash for taking that win. Like you mentioned, definitely great try there from Minney. Some great plays. Just didn't quite get enough of that good RNG on that side there. But again, congratulations to Harash. And this is not the only match we have tonight. We still have one more match to go.
That is true. It's going to be a Division 2 winner clinches match between Edanco and Coookiemonst. We're going to take a bit of a quick break here as we prepare for our second game of the series. But before we do, Dragon Rider, you're kind of like me. You're into like the collectible card games, Hearthstone, Magic, all that stuff. Our friends over at the Venus and Mercury League, the VML, Magic the Gathering, women and non-binary binary competitors here. So They are in their playoffs. They had their first week of playoffs on Friday night. The playoffs are just getting started. I believe it was like 14 competitors this year. It just the way that season rolled out, 64 competitors
Yeah.
all around. That was just incredible. So if you guys are into Magic the Gathering Arena or just Magic in general, you guys are looking for, something to kind of sate your appetite. Guys, seriously, check out the VML League. They're in their playoffs right now. I believe it's going to be the quarterfinals next week. The VML stream on Aspirant CCG Twitch every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like our Hearthstone matches, every time we stream, their streams will also be included in the Aspirant CCG YouTube channel. So if you miss it, but you're rooting on a friend of yours that's competing, you missed it. Well, guess what? 24 hours after the stream is done, the full stream in its entirety will be posted on YouTube. So you'll be able to find that match. You'll be able to watch it. Guys, seriously, go check out the VML League. They will be on with quarterfinal action in their playoffs this Friday. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, we're going to take a quick break here. Series number 2 coming right at you after this nice little break here. everyone, welcome back to Aspirant CCG here on Twitch. If you're just tuning in, we had one heck of a series for you from Division 4. Harash getting the 3-1 win over Minney. With that result, Harash basically put themselves in prime position for a playoff spot, whether it's one of the top 2 divisional spots or one of the 6 wildcard spots. For Minney, unfortunately, while the regular season might not have ended the way that they wanted to, they might come back with a vengeance at that Constellation tournament that we've been hearing some rumblings about. But my name is Jimmy Cat, my partner in crime from week 1 and all season long, the one and only Dragon Rider. We have one heck of a match for you here from Division 2. The last game had playoff implications, possible playoff implications. This has guaranteed playoff implications. The winner of this game right here between Coookiemonst and Edanco, the winner automatically qualifies. It gets that second seed from Division 2. The pressure is on, and I love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. There's some, like you mentioned, I mean, really tight races with some of those standings. And yeah, this is Division 2. And we're looking at the moment, with Baby Bear being at that top spot with a 6-1 record.
Yep.
And I mean, you look at the number 2, number 3, number 4. Well, that fourth person right now is actually playing against Baby Bear this week. And then the 2 and 3 in that division is this match right here. So this is make or break for these players, basically.
Yes.
They have to do their best because, like you mentioned, it's like if they win, they are pretty much guaranteed to actually get that top 2 and get to the playoffs and not have to worry about contending with everybody else for those the wild card playoff spots. So it is make or break time here. And what's interesting lineups we have with these players today.
That's true. Before we go into the lineups, I did the math a little bit while you were talking. This is basically how it goes. If Edanco wins 3-0, they're automatically in because they already got 17 wins. Unlimited Power, who is playing Baby Bear this week, like you said, they're at 16 wins. So
Yeah.
if Edanco loses any margin, any way, shape, or form, their run is over. For Coookiemonst, they're at 17 and 12 right now. So going into this game, if they get a 3-0 win, they're in a prime position. They basically will get it regardless. And if you're Unlimited Power, if we will get the results as soon as possible for you guys, whenever we find out what it is. But yeah, playoff implications on the line here. And we were going through the deck list during the break and everything. We got a very interesting lineup. As you can see down below, both Warriors have been banned. So if you came in for a Warrior mirror match, we're sorry, we didn't have a say in that one. We can only do so much. But let's get to the deck list here for the Division 2 playoff primer. As we take a look at Coookiemonst's deck at first, we get a Mage, a Paladin, and a Rogue here. Mage has kind of been up and down throughout this season, especially with the major nerf of the Tortolan caster.
Yeah, that Tortolan Pilgrim
mid-season.
being
Yeah.
nerfed earlier, really eliminated that Turtle Mage. But
Yep.
it is interesting to me still seeing this mage here because earlier this week we had 2 mage cards that did get a nerf, and that is I don't know, it doesn't really look like it's affecting the list that much. Evocation now at 2 mana still being played in the deck. You know, the prime that comes out of the Astromancer Solarian has gone up 2 mana from 7 to 9. We still see the Solarian in here and potential for Solarian to be discovered off of the Primordial Studies. So looks like, didn't really change anything maybe. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out. And then this broom paladin that has become very popular. This
Yep.
list here from Coookiemonst, with the double pen flinger and only one wild pyromancer, and a little bit of a different rogue list than what we've seen already tonight. We have the
Yes.
secret rogue, not the Galacron rogue like we saw in the last series, but I don't pretty standard list. I don't think anything
Yep.
that's really standing out to me there.
Yeah, nothing really standing out to me either with these classes. If there's anything, the one class you might want to keep an eye out with this one is the mage. Just because look at the deck list and all that stuff. Like you have the mana cyclone, which has been a staple with spell mage, and especially now with you got Janet Barav, Raz Frost Whisper, since that has been brought into play. Or since that's made the scene, has seen a lot of play in mage decks, just period. And you also got the mana giant, which is definitely going to help on the minion side if you're Coookiemonst. But yeah, really nothing else is sticking out with Paladin or the Rogue decks. Let's just switch it on over now to Edanco's class list here. And again, we talked about during the break here, really similar match, similar deck list here. But the only difference is instead of a mage, Edanco's bringing in a aggro Highlander Hunter.
Oh,
Well, I'm sorry,
this whole
it's
lineup.
not aggro, but it's a Highlander Hunter.
It is definitely very aggressive though. It's still running
Yeah.
that face stalker secret package, just like we've seen with Face Hunter. I mean, in a way, it still is. It's very reminiscent of Face Hunter, but
Mhm.
it just has those couple of Highlander pieces with the Bran and Zephyrus, and then of course only one copy of everything. The only little difference here is that some of these Highlander Hunter lists, even the aggressive ones, this one is including a copy of Ace Hunter Kreen,
Mhm.
which not all of them do include, but it does have that one in there. And then again, we see this kind of broom penflinger paladin. This one is only running the one penflinger, and the loot hoarders, not really anything different there. And
Yep.
then this weapon rogue. Personally, I love this lineup. I'm a little bit more of kind of the aggressive player, and this lineup to me just I I'm gonna call it right here. I'm just going with this lineup because I love it so much. So if you're asking who I think is gonna take it, I'm just calling this lineup because I love it. I love it so much.
Well, that was easy. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for the stream, guys. Let's get right to game one. But no, like let's focus on this weapons rogue actually just a little bit here because it's one of those decks that have kind of made its way back up, especially with Dr. Krasinov being that dual rogue warrior card that we've seen with the Scholarman's Academy and everything. Dr.
Yeah.
Krasinov could really do some damage depending on the situation. And I think if you're a Donko on this one, you're realizing this. You gotta make sure you have the right cards in play before you can play Dr. Krasinov. Otherwise, you might be playing him for no reason, and that's really gonna hurt you in the end.
Yeah, it's Weapon Rogue has started to come back a little bit. Uh
It's
and
you go ahead.
I was gonna say, it does do pretty well into
Mhm.
things like Warrior, Priest, especially those two. It really has some strong matchups into those. So we'll see. With these other decks, though, I'm not sure how well it can do against the mage. That one feels a little bit dependent on if Edanco with the rogue can kind of actually get that really nice curve and put on that pressure. And if Coookiemonst as the mage, if they end up pairing up there, can find some like face freezes, generate some of those to kind of lock out the rogue from being able to attack with the weapons.
So as we get ready for game one of our Division Two playoff, basically our playoff battle here between Cookie Monster and Donko Dragon, I gotta ask the question: if you're both players, game one, you know the situation, you know the pressure that's on. What class are you going to roll with to start off the series?
I'm bringing the fastest thing I can. So if I'm Edanco, maybe it's that hunter, maybe it's the rogue. I'm bringing one of those more aggressive decks. If it's Coookiemonst, maybe I'm actually bringing the maybe I'm bringing the mage. Maybe I'm wanting to get a win with that mage early.
I'm about to say it I agree with you on the hunter if you're a Donko, just the Highlander, especially the fact you have Lord Keeper Polecat
Mhm.
in that deck list of yours, that's definitely gonna help out, especially with getting Brian and everything. But for Cookie Monster, you have your options. You could roll with the mage, but you could also bring in the secret rogue to kind of slow down whatever class Donko brings out.
Mhm.
And we've seen how well Broom Pally has done in recent streams. So I don't think there's really a bad selection if you're Cookie Monster this one. But I think with the Donko, I think for game one at least, you would want to try and get off to a fast start. And I think that Highlander Hunter is definitely gonna be the play there.
Yeah. I mean the weapon rogue can do it too, so we'll see. I'm curious to see if we end up with some mirror matches like we did last time because they both
Mhm.
did bring this paladin, although they are
Yep.
a couple of cards different. But the rogue, they're both rogue, but they are different versions. So I am curious to see if they end up bringing the rogues into each other, how they kind of navigate that game. But maybe we end up with no class mirror matches. That
Nope.
would be really interesting.
That would be interesting to see as we get ready to go. Game one of our marquee matchup here. Remember, the winner all but is guaranteed a playoff spot, pending some other results in Division Two. If you lose, here's the thing: the loser is not necessarily eliminated from tournament play. They still have
Right.
they're in a better position for one of the 6 wildcard spots that we're gonna see in this postseason. So 16 spots for playoffs overall, the largest we've seen, I believe, in Aspirant history.
Yeah.
As game one gets underway, and we're gonna see the hunter for Cookie Monster that we had brought up earlier taking on the rogue for Edanco here. And Cookie Monster is already bringing in the get that Ace Hunter Crean uh right away. I'm not sure that's really the card you want to go with. It might be safe to mulligan that one, as we seem to have lost the screen there for Cookie Monster, but no, my apologies. They we had a bit of a typo, ladies and gentlemen. We had a switch. So Adanko is bringing in the hunter, Cookie Monster bringing in the mage.
All right. Yes. That
So we're good
works
now.
good.
We're good.
Yeah. But we are seeing this hunter, which is,
Yes.
I'm thrilled about. I have played a decent amount of this deck myself, and I definitely love hunter. So I'm excited to see somebody bring it, especially because, hunter the last several weeks I'd say has kind of fallen out of favor a bit overall. So it's really exciting to see somebody kind of bring it back and I really get to see how it performs here. But pretty good hands on both sides. I'd say both players look like they have some
Yeah.
decent hands here.
Yeah, to start off here, a Shadow Stub, a Backstab, and the Vendetta for Cookie Monster right off the bat. Meanwhile, Adanko gonna bring in the Demon Companion here. You get that 2-1 charge, and immediately gonna do some damage to put Cookie Monster a little bit in the hole here. So that's the first damage done via Demon Companion for Adanko. Cookie Monster meanwhile is going to use Hero Power and takes 2 damage of their own to knock out that 2-1 charge. And meanwhile, Adanko looks like it's actually gonna bring in the called Neophyte, which is actually gonna put a real big damper on those spells if you're
Yeah.
your Cookie Monster. But we're gonna see a Backstab and a Wand Thief. And ooh, not a bad selection all around. if you're Coookiemonst.
Yeah, magic trick looks okay.
Magic trick or learn draconic, just so you can get a big some big board presence there. But it looks like we're gonna see
Yeah.
magic trick get selected here, and really not a whole lot. No, I'm sorry, we're gonna see a shadow step here for Wand Thief. So we'll see Wand Thief coming to play again. Round 2, Flame Ward, Font of Power, and Spellbender here. So
Hmm.
Choose soon.
Still
you're
not
Cookie-
the best.
no, but instead Coookiemonst decided to go for the Fount of Power. Edanco bringing Scavenger's Integrity, which is going to bring in the Face Stalker, which is really going to help with the hero power and everything next turn. Because
Yeah.
remember, you got secrets in that deck. You already got one secret in hand, so you could definitely bolster up the secrets and kind of slow Coookiemonst down from really trying to do anything to get back into this game.
Yeah, and it does look like there are 2 secrets that this list is running, and that is 1 copy of Freezing and 1 copy of Snake Trap. So those are the 2 possibilities for secrets to be pulled out here.
We already see
Uh,
Snake Trap in hand, so it would be
Yep.
assumed that Face Talk will
Right.
bring in the Freeze Trap.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, is that with only running those 2, only 1 copy of each, and there's only 2 secrets total, then when you end up getting one in hand, it does feel a little bad. But there's still other little bit of mind games that could be played with, Coookiemonst not knowing that there's one of those secrets in hand. But
Meanwhile, Coookiemonst bringing in the Font of Power here. You had a chance for Archmage Antonidas, but instead decided to go with the Violet Spellwing, which not a bad selection overall. But you
yeah,
would think for damage, with the fact you got all those spells in hand early on, Archmage Antonidas would be a very interesting selection there if you were to run with it.
I think that just ends up being a little bit too slow. So
Meanwhile, we'll see Edanco bring in the Face Stalker, and just like we said, use the hero power, and we will see Freeze Trap now in play for Edanco. So if you're Coookiemonst, you got to be careful with what you're going to attack with, as the Wand Thief gets knocked out of this game. And that
Right.
secret is going to be activated. So
that
the
Vendetta
Violet
looks
Bird,
good.
it looks really good. We'll see Feral Cat come in. Brings gets a Temple Berserker in hand. We will see Vendetta come into play and knocks out the Face Stalker, which really it was just there just as a minion at that point, because you already had the one secret in your hand and then the Freeze Trap already there, like we said earlier. So now Edanco's got the Imprisoned Felmaw. He's also got Toxic Reinforcements, which, remember, if you are unfamiliar with that, is use your hero power 3 times, and then as a reward, you summon 3 Leopard Gnomes, which, if you're looking to do damage, that is the way to go. Coookiemonst again, another Vendetta in hand.
Why not?
Why
Just
not?
set
Yeah,
it
at
up.
this
Set it
point.
up for that Felma. Looks pretty good. Coookiemonst has gotten so much value already this game.
Gonna Shadow step into another Feral Cat. Wasteland Assassin. But instead we'll see a Magic Trick, Eviscerate, Secret Passage, and Dirty Tricks. You would think Eviscerate might be the play, but it wouldn't hurt to get Secret Passage also, just because of the value that it has. I don't think there's really a bad option, but also Dirty Tricks with the spell costs and everything like that. Not really a bad choice with this little selection.
Yeah.
A place to hide.
I'm just gonna play out the assassin. Why not? There's not really a lot that the hunter can do about it here. Felma still not awake yet. Uh, there is the potential for coining into the Bran. I I guess is that no? Looks like Edanco wants to go for the tracking here. Oh, finds the Zephyrus. Could Zephyrus get something here? I feel like some tough
Off
choices.
of turn 6, it could have some value.
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 mana left after the tracking.
We're gonna see Zephyrus
Could the
come into
coin that?
play. I don't think the coin's going to matter.
No, I mean, if
Mm.
played now, I guess it could find Lightning Storm, but that also overloads. So that's a detriment if Edanco wants to play the Brand next turn.
We're gonna see Zephyrus come into play here, and yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, Lightning Storm. So
Yeah.
a bit of a delay in bringing out the Brand.
Yeah. But I mean, fighting for board and actually trying to keep the board under control a little bit is probably going to help out more in the long run than
And
being
then
able to
Janet
play
Brown
that.
comes into play.
Yeah. So,
Just because.
the board was under control a little bit, but no longer.
So Dragon Speaker and Anka the Buried are gonna come into play here. I believe it was the Anka that got selected from this one, but do keep an eye. I believe that side quest is at two charge already, as the Felma comes into play, and they're just gonna attack face just because. Why not?
Oh.
So now if you're a Danko, you're behind with not a lot to do, but no, they only got able to get the only had two well now there's at two for the side quest, so you would want to try and get the leopard gnomes out early as much as possible. I don't think it's gonna matter. It's gonna be game one going to Coookiemonst with the Janice Barav. Really nothing Edanco could do on that one. I don't think they realized the situation at hand. It just with all that board presence and everything, it's just nothing that they could have done. That Janet Barav really put Coookiemonst in a prime position for the victory, and it messed us up because of lethal and everything.
Yeah, and not even just the bear of herself, but also going wide the turn before. I mean, Edanco did end up tracking into, the Zephyrus to find some sort of board removal, but Hunter just really cannot deal with wide board states like that, especially repeated wide board states. So, already it felt like a struggle on that Hunter side. So yeah, Coookiemonst taking that first game, and now that rogue is out, there's mage and the paladin left. Paladin can really be a struggle for the hunter to deal with as well, unless the hunter can get a really fast start and the paladin just can't find the healing or taunts. So there is potential for hunter to take a win against that paladin, but that might be a downfall for Edanco here.
Yeah, it just really. I think if you're a Danko going into game number 2 here, you gotta think: do you want to go back with a hunter? Just because the first game was a mismatch here, and hope that Coookiemonst brings in the mage and keeps the paladin in tow for game 3. But at the same time, you also have your own. You got your weapons rogue and your broom paladin of your own. So if you're a Danko, you have options. But I think it's also depending on what Coookiemonst is going to bring between the paladin and the mage. So it just not that there's options there, but I'm not sure exactly what you could do.
Yeah. I I feel like maybe at this point it might be an uphill battle for Edanco to try to get through this series. But maybe the best bet is just bring whichever one you might feel the most comfortable with and hope you can try to take the series as far as you can.
So game two underway here, just getting started. Cookie Mouse gonna bring in the pally, the broom pally that we talked about. Donko, meanwhile, bringing back the hunter, and we talked about it in between games. This
Yeah.
really puts an advantage for Cookie Mouse with his pally.
Yeah. And automatically, I mean, this wild pyro and the devout pupil in hand decides to get rid of that devout pupil, but well, just drawing into another mid-game taunt. So pretty good start, it looks like, for Coookiemonst, even though Edanco does have that good start as well.
Yeah, real good start for Donko and for really for both. Donko gonna bring the Intrepid Initiate here because you do have that spell next turn. And Cookie Mouse will counter with the outdoor attendant. Gonna really help with the Librams there.
Mm. Does Coookiemonst want to coin that?
I don't think that I wouldn't. If I was Cookie Mouse, I would kind of save it for a different turn. 'Cause I think there might be more value,
Yeah.
and I think they're realizing that now. Uh,
Yeah, with that wild pyro.
we're gonna see adorable infestation come in. Spellburst is uh really gonna help out with the initiate there, bringing it to a 4-3, well 4-2 now, doing the damage on the outdoor attendant and wild pyromancer. Oh boy. Well, goodbye to the minions, and with that leave him, goodbye to the initiate. So now Cookie Monster is getting the board cleared there, going with the 4-1 pyromancer. Adanko really just playing it safe, getting a whoop a Wolpertinger. I can never say that name to save my life.
Yeah.
I apologize if I botched it up. It's the antlered rabbit with weird teeth. There.
Exactly.
You know what card I'm talking about here. Meanwhile, Cookie Mouse will bring in a Solid Hits Pride just to get some board presence here. And we might be seeing the now we're gonna see the Face Stalker come into play. And
Yeah.
hero power into the secret.
It is the snake trap.
Very nice.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
I feel like the freezing might be a little more useful now, but freezing is also so good against very large taunt divine shield minions later. So
Exactly.
picking up the snake trap here seems fine.
Yep, so this really just helps out Adanka with board presence here. Although Penflinger is going to be coming in, and I can say for a fact, I hate this card out of all from the most recent expansion. We'll see another Light Brim of Wisdom come into play. Penflinger goes away until next turn. We'll see Toxic Reinforcement. You also got Dragonbane in hand, but you really don't want to play that until next turn when you're able to actually use it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, that was a great pickup, though. It allowed Edanco to play that Bone Truer, like you just mentioned, squeeze in a hero power, after playing it, and starts to clear the hand for the reader as well. So it worked out for a lot of reasons.
So Edanco putting pressure on Cookie Monster here early on, but Cookie Monster, all you gotta do is just wait a turn or two, and they're gonna be in prime position to make some moves. As we'll see an Aldor Truth Seeker come into play, and that's really gonna help with the Librams later on, as that Truth Seeker now becomes a 5/7. And that is actually a nice little draw there. The tour guide going into the Dragon Bane. Or not. You can do that also. Dragon Bane goes in. Takes out they'll take out the True Seekers there. And the crazed antlered rabbit goes in attack phase. So
Yeah,
now
and
Cookie Monster got to do something.
yeah, but Coookiemonst has so many options, and they're all pretty good. I I I don't know. Personally, I'm looking at this thinking it feels pretty paladin favored to me right now. Um, I have played a lot from both sides here, but having these taunts early, this severely discounted Libram of Hope already in hand waiting, with there's more draw potential. There's this Penflinger to deal with things. There's so much. And Edanco does have the reader, but they really need to draw into some answers here and very fast. Otherwise, they're just not going to go anywhere.
Well, speaking of that, you got the Zephyrin getting drawn there. I believe the side quest is at 3 now. So that will bring in 3 leopard gnomes, which is definitely gonna hurt damage wise. Once those leopard gnomes go away, the reader comes out. Kind of weird we didn't see Zephyrus come into play, but I'm not angry with this response. I think Edanco's kind of gearing up for something something here for lethal down the line. In the meantime, Coookiemonst is trying to do something. Stay alive. We'll see Penflinger come in. We'll see a Libram of Hope to heal up with the health. And also, that's just going to hurt with that 8-8 Guardian with Divine Shield and with Taunt.
Yeah. This could be a potential Zephyrus into Shadowward Ruin, though, which would deal with both of those taunts pretty easily. Potential for playing a 2-drop first to kind of help guarantee that 4 mana left over after playing the Zephyrus.
I think we could also see Cult Neophyte come in, just kind of help out with the spells and everything. Kind of slow down Coookiemonst, especially with the Librams in tow. So just a lot of thinking on Edanco's part. How do they want to play this? They're already in a good spot health wise, but it's starting to feel like the shift is starting to go in favor of Coookiemonst with all the cards in hand. And you got that Penflinger that's still just hanging around here. So they're able to use the costless hero power. And it looks like the leopard gnomes are going to be sacrificed. The imprisoned Felmaw will come into play, as well as the Og Merchant knocks out that loot thief. And there's a broom.
Yeah. Broom can do some work.
Yeah.
Not really a very cheap spell here if Coookiemonst wants to go for the Allura. It's going to have to be Hand of a Doll. And then there's going to be 1 mana left over. I guess just a matter of figuring out how Coookiemonst wants to do it.
It's going to be Library of Wisdom.
All right.
I will say this. If it was the Library of Hope, I think the scene would definitely shift it because he would have had 2 8-8 Guardians in play here, and now
I don't think it's gonna matter though. Just trading in a hero power and Zephyrus should be lethal.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Zephyrus is gonna bring
a fireball and then he's just lethal.
That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it. So Edanco looking a little rough there near the end, but they're able to get the win.
Wow. Tie
this series up 1-1. And if you're Coookiemonst, you can't be too upset with how that game ended. Which is like with your board presence and everything. You had that plan all set. You had the Allura, you had the Guardian, and you also had the True Seeker that's been buffed up with the Librams. Unfortunately, Edanco just has Zephyrus, Fireball, game over. What can you do? So it really Uh,
But as a Donko, though, that has to feel pretty good. Getting a win with that hunter into the paladin, it can be pretty rough sometimes. So to get that win there has to feel pretty good. And we are going to jump into the next game. It's going to
wow.
be the
Paladin,
mirror.
Paladin. We talked about potential mirror match. This is it. Game 3 of really a guarantee playoff chance for the winner here. So Coookiemonst and Edanco. Remember, both are sitting at 5-2. Both are sitting looking pretty right now. If Edanco, they're not going to be a 3-0 for Edanco this time around. But Coookiemonst could do something down the line here to move on to that second spot. So that's what's up on the lines here, guys. But for now, let's focus right here on game 3. Coookiemonst bringing in the first day of school, the underlight angling rod, and the Allura. Meanwhile, Edanco gets gonna sub out the Wild Pyromancer and Libram of Hope for their own Allura and an animated broomstick, alongside the Libram Wisdom and the Aldor Truth Seeker. Coookiemonst will join in. Nice little little opening there for
Those are
Coookiemonst.
decent one drops.
Not bad.
Yeah.
As the Spy Mistress will come into play. Not really a whole lot that Edanco can do.
No.
So just gonna
Not
end the
much.
turn there. Coookiemonst gonna bring in the Loot Hoarder there. And is going to attack face with the Spy Mistress. Meanwhile, Edanco brings out his own first day of school. And Blazing Battle Mage and Violet Spellwing are their selections. Not bad selections either, especially that's Violet Spellwing with
Yeah.
the Dust Rattle and all.
Yeah, the spelling definitely looks a little better. It does trade in easier. And like you mentioned, that death rattle could help against some of the one drops. But also picking up the spellwing is kind of nice just to use later because it gives you another cheap spell. So Edanco could use that cheap spell later to trigger this Allura. It could trigger with the Pen Flinger. It could go off after using a Libram of Justice to help clear up some boards. So there's actually a lot of potential for using this missiles in this deck.
So Edanco is going to clear board with the Arcane Missiles now in hand.
I cannot wait to
And now Coookiemonst is going to come with the Outdoor Attendant. Really going to help out the Librams there. And just going to hero power. Just get some board presence and everything. And now Edanco's going to bring in the Battle Mage. And it looks like one hand of a doll. And the Pen Flinger. Okay. I see how this is going to go. The PTSD is coming back, guys.
Yep, that Pen Flinger.
Meanwhile, Coookiemonst is just bringing the angling rod here. Gonna knock out that battle mage. Knock out a little bit of damage. Or prevent some damage, excuse me. And is going to attack face. So they're tied health-wise. Really, it doesn't look like either player has a clear advantage right now. It's just been back and forth all game long so far.
Yeah, it really is. This game is probably going to go a little long here. It's really going to be dependent on who can stick a board and actually be able to push some damage and keep threats on board here. Looks like Edanco is really debating about playing this Allura here. There is the potential also to maybe just coin out the Aldor Truth Seeker, but I'm curious what Edanco would like to get for the casted spell if they go for that Allura. Because it feels like it could be pretty lackluster.
Quickly.
become the hero this world needs. Greatness goes.
Meanwhile, Coookiemonst is going to coin into the Libram of Justice. I'm sorry, Edanco's going to do that. Excuse me.
Yeah, and then that the Libram of Justice is actually what came off of that Allura Spellburst effect. Not the best board for it to trigger on,
Nope.
but let's
Nope.
see.
Greatness calls.
Cookiemonst gonna bring in oh, the Libram of
So-
Hope. That as great if you're Cookiemonst, not great if you're Edanco. That is not what you want to see. Right now,
especially after
turn 5.
seeing the Libram of Justice.
Oh no.
Yeah, that feels like a disaster for Edanco there.
Oh. Advantage Cookiemonst with that.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, you were just talking like 2 turns ago about how it didn't seem like there was a clear advantage, but now it feels like it, and Edanco is going to have to draw into, yet again, he's going to have to draw into an answer.
So a board cleared by Cookiemonst there, and a lot of hurt coming their way unless Edanco can somehow come up with an answer.
Yeah.
With the other True Seeker here. And just gonna power that up with a Libram of Wisdom. And really just not a whole lot of Edanco can do. And I think they're starting to realize that the end is near early on. Because Cookiemonst got that other Alder True Seeker. So they really wanted to power it up in the next turn. Libram of Hope again to add more and more damage onto the board. And Edanco's got really nothing at this moment to work with. Cookiemonst's going to attack, bring in an Underbelly Murloc with the Angling Rod and everything. But we will see the Aldor True Seeker come into play here, knocking out that Libram again. Plus, also, the Cookiemonst has his own Libram of Justice as well.
Yeah,
So
it's just waiting.
it's just waiting. It's just waiting. And 8 damage done to Edanco. I don't think I don't think there's really anything else they can that they can
No.
do.
And this is why I feel so hesitant about that turn 4 playing that Allura into the coin, because it felt almost like Edanco needed to land the Libram of Hope, and that was possibly the only thing that was going to be a good result. But like we just talked about, I mean, there is Libram of Justice waiting in Cookiemonst's, hands. So at the same time, that wouldn't have even been the best result. Gonna try to get some clear off the board here with his missiles. Not really doing a lot there, though.
Nope. Even with the pen flinger knocking out the squishier minions and everything, it just is not a good spot. Cookiemonst doesn't have lethal just yet, but it's not looking good if you're Edanco right now. Like next turn, if you're Edanco, you need to play that Libram of Hope, provided you survive. You have to play that Libram of Hope to get something to stay in this match. But at the same time, you also got Lady Adrian as well. But the Libram of Hope would definitely be the play to go with.
Yeah, and getting in the Libram of Hope before playing Liadrin is also great too, because then Liadrin can give you another Libram of Hope. So it's just a matter of, from Edanco's perspective, please live this turn so that I can play the Libram of Hope.
Cards, help me. Help me, please. Libram of Justice will come into play for Cookiemonst. And the Loot Hoarder will get drawn as well. As well as the Lost Soul just for some board presence. They're gonna knock out that Aldor Assistant and incoming freight train. A lot of damage coming. Knock it down to 3. Let's see what Edanco gets. That's just no.
Yeah, so it looks like it's just gonna have to be a pen flinger into the Libram of Hope. Yep. Just to again hope it's
stay alive.
Stay alive. Yeah.
And just a Libram of Wisdom. Actually, 2 Libram of Wisdoms. So that kind of puts Edanco back in a a, a, a fairly workable position. And just as I say that,
Yeah,
just as I say
see?
that, just as I say that, that's gonna do it in game number 3 here. Coookiemonst is coming in, bringing in the Lord Bearer off top deck, getting the win, knocking off, getting the win in the Pally mirror match, and really
Yeah.
just if the Allura did not bring in the Libram of Hope in turn 5, this would have been a
Yeah.
different game completely. We had talked beginning of the game, we could be in for a long run. I think the game heard you and said, hey, watch this. We saw
Yeah.
that, and immediately the favor shifted from just maybe in the Edanco's favor just a little bit to Cookiemonst's favor all the way over.
Yeah.
And just there was nothing Edanco could do to recover after that, even with the Libram of Hope at the end, to stay alive after that turn. There's just nothing that he could have done.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that leaves Coookiemonst with just having the mage now needing to get a win. And I do want to mention we do have a kind of update about the kind of standings within this
Yes.
division. So this match here, both of these players have lost to Unlimited Power in the previous weeks, who we mentioned currently right now is kind of showing in fourth, and he is playing against Baby Bear this week. They won't be playing until a little bit later because of the Masters Tour. But
Yep.
if Unlimited Power actually ends up beating Baby Bear, who is currently in the first spot for that division, then Unlimited Power actually will take that first spot, and then Baby Bear, I think, would be in second. So unless there's again, depending on if Baby Bears beat one of these two players. So this win here really could mean a lot,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how their match has gone against Baby Bear. And again, if this goes to game 5, just game 4, and the points they get in this. So again, these games are just very important, and every game here matters. So with that in mind, knowing that Coookiemonst only has this mage left, what do you like for Edanco going into the next game?
If you're Edanco, you gotta do something. I mean, you absolutely gotta do something here. It was
Yeah.
just sheer luck that the Allura brought in the Libram of Hope. That's really all it was.
Yeah.
So you could definitely come back with your Broom Pally and try your luck there. But the fact that we don't know how this mage is going to work out against Pally, if you're a Donko, you're not sure how it's going to work out. It might be the safer bet going with the weapons rogue on this one, and especially the fact that this mage deck, looking at it and everything, is all spell based. If you're able to get
Right.
ahead in a damage count, you're able to get ahead, put some pressure on Coookiemonst with this spell mage. You're definitely going to be able to do. You definitely will be in a good position if you're a Donko to tie the series up and force a game 5. If you go to Pally, you're really going to be pressing your luck here because we've seen, Pally, Broom Pally and Spell Mage have really been back and forth, not just here in
Yeah,
Aspirant, but
it's
really just in the ladder in general. So I think the favorable matchup with this one would be the Rogue against the Mage. But if you
yeah.
want to test your luck with the Pally as well, it is you could try. I
Yeah,
would
there's
think.
kind of the two approaches, right? Go for probably the rogue that's going to be a little bit better equipped, and try to take it to game 5 if you can, or just go with that, I have to get the win with the paladin anyways if I can get this win. But again, because of that fact that this isn't just purely based on do you win the series or not, that every game matters, looks like we are going to see that rogue, and I think that's a big factor there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Adanko really factored in the fact that it's taking on the mage. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're in a good position now to force a game 5 as game 4 gets underway here. As we said, Cookie Mouse bringing in the mage, Adanko bringing out the rogue for the first time tonight, and really not a bad draw for either player here, especially
Yeah.
Adanko with the fact they're getting the coin later on.
Yeah. And I am all for this weapon rogue. I like the aggressiveness. I like this. So, seeing the stealth minion and a Greyheart Sage and seeing that self-sharpening sword, that looks pretty dang good. Yeah, I would be pretty happy about this start here if you're at Onko. But like you mentioned, both players have a pretty good start. And the devolving missiles is going to be pretty interesting in this matchup because that
Yep.
can still hit stealth minions. So that might slow down Edanco's plan.
All right, so let's get right into game 4 here. Just simple trade-off here. Coookiemonst bringing in the lab partner, and now bringing in the Astromancer Solarian. Meanwhile, Edanco brings in Worgen Infiltrator number 1, as Worgen Infiltrator number 2 gets drawn into play here. Edanco now, if they really want to, they could coin. I think that's what's going to be the game plan here. Coin into the Greyheart Sage.
A cruel fate awaits you in the ashes.
And that's exactly what we're gonna see it. They trade with the Solarian and the Infiltrator there.
You don't pick the one.
Coookiemonst meanwhile summoning a Wand Maker with Primordial Studies coming into play here.
Yeah, another primordial study seems pretty good.
Devolving missiles come in, and it is a 1/1. There it is.
Yep.
So we see the devolving missiles early on. It's kind of this in this back and forth game at the moment. But if you're a Donko, you could get rid of that Wand Maker with a backstab if you really
Right.
want to. But you also have 2 self-sharpening swords, which is going to be huge, especially with that Dread Corsair in play. So now, if you're a Donko, I think the smart play would be the Sneaky Delinquent and maybe the Worgen Infiltrator.
Yeah, there is that. I don't mind getting one of these weapons just out in play. There's not weapon removal being run in the deck, and also I don't think. Let me double check the deck list, but I don't think there's actually any face freeze being run straight in the
No,
list.
there is not.
So yeah, okay, right. So it would have to be generated. And I mean, that's what the deck is really built around, is getting those weapons. And there's a Steel Dancer in hand. It's a little bit of a bummer for Edanco that the second self-sharpening sword is in hand so early. But yeah, I like this, just getting this weapon online and, start moving your own game plan towards what the deck wants to be doing.
Meanwhile, if you're Coookiemonst here, you have options all around. But those are going to try and build on the spell damage here. Bringing in the Primordial Studies and the Violet Warden. So next turn, we'll definitely see that card come into play. Which is really going to help in the spell damage category. Meanwhile, Edanco's going to knock out that damage to that partner. Bring out a Sneaky Delinquent and also a Dread Corsair for a little protection.
Yeah.
As well as Spy Mistress, it looks like, just for little board presence. So now Coookiemonst is going to draw a Sorcerer's Apprentice. So the question is now,
We shall end this disturbance.
yep, they're going to go to the Violet Warden.
Yeah.
The safe play. Really can't do anything until you get something that's going to be effective with the spell damage and everything like that. So Coookiemonst just playing it safe as they try to get the series win here in game 4. And Edanco is really starting to put up the pressure just a little bit.
Yeah, and this Toxin Blade's a pretty good draw. It does allow a bit of an easier clear here for Edanco too. Can push straight through this taunt and sets up for a bigger weapon to play out that Steel Dancer next turn as well. Just a matter of maybe wanting to make a value trade into the lab partner or push face. And looks like choosing
gonna
to
go
go for that
face.
face damage. Yeah.
Yep. Meanwhile, another Primordial Studies gets drawn in here as we'll see Sorcerer's Apprentice number 1. And ooh, what do we
Well,
have here?
these are choices.
And if they're gonna go for
Sure.
the blood mage on this one,
I don't mind it.
not a bad selection.
Yeah. Cookie kind of needs the card draw though, so I like choosing that one.
Meanwhile, Cookie Monster's going to bring in the Conjurer's Calling to knock out a little bit of damage in terms of damage on Edanco's side, but also add into that board presence a little bit. Meanwhile, Edanco's still roughing that 6/1 weapon there.
There are
Not
some decent 6 drops, but there's a few that could definitely whiff too. There's happened to me the other day. You get
oof.
the warlock one that's the 2/2.
Yeah.
That puts out a big taunt equal to the size of your hand. Well, you don't get that taunt when it comes off of the steel dancers, so
Yeah.
let's see what it comes out as this time. 5/3.
5/3 into a backstab, knocking out the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and looks like they're just going to attack face here
Yeah.
and really put Cookie in a position. They gotta do something, otherwise it is game over. As we see Blood Mage Salnos go away. Cram Session gets drawn for Cookie from Salnos, and Mana Giant as well.
All right.
Oh
This
boy.
could be a big turn.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Sorcerer's
Cram Session.
Apprentice into Cram Session.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, the Mana Cyclone being
Frost.
picked up.
Another Ray of
Oh my
Frost. Freezing the big minions. Mana Cyclone. Winner,
goes.
winner. Devolving
Devolve.
missiles. Oh boy, here we go.
Whoa.
Oh boy. Fireball. So really a good turn to kind of stay alive here for Cookie Monst in this game. Unfortunately,
That
wait a minute.
secret
2, 3,
passage,
5.
though.
Yeah,
This
secret
could
passage.
find the damage. Does it? The eviscerate.
Yes,
That's it.
That's it. That's it. Secret passage for the win. That's gonna do it, guys. We are heading to a game 5 between
Whew.
Edanco and Cookie Monst.
This has been a spicy series.
This has been a spicy series indeed. Oh my goodness. Yeah, remember, we had talked about it. Obviously, we got the new information and everything. Like, playoff implications are on the line with this one, pending the result of Unlimited Power and Baby Bear, who we want to wish good luck to them in the Masters Tour Madrid event going on right now. But I don't think we expected a close series like this, especially Game 4, which is back and forth all around. The
Yeah.
luck of that secret passage, get the really putting some pressure on Cookie Monster and Edanco, just getting the win right there. That was beautiful.
But now has to take this paladin into the mage, which is a bit unfavored for the paladin. So, just off of the kind of stats on paper, as as we say, then the mage is more favored here. But it's Hearthstone. Anything could happen. There are some RNG aspects that could affect that, but I'm still leaning towards it's probably going to be Cookie Monst that ends up taking this. But yeah, this has been a close series.
We have seen plenty of game 5s, none with bigger implications than this. Cookie Monst, Edanco. Winner puts themselves in prime playoff position here in Division 2. Loser really gonna benefit from a wild card, no doubt in my mind. As game 5 gets underway, Cookie Monst bringing back the mage and Edanco bringing in the pally for the first time in this series, and really not a bad draw for Cookie Monst. For Edanco, however, you got 2 Loot Hoarders and the Outdoor Truth Seeker. You would think you would want to keep one of the Hoarders and mulligan the other 2, right?
That's what I'm leaning towards as well.
Meanwhile, Cookie Monster's gonna just do a full mulligan just because he said,
Yeah.
why not? And really, look at this. Look at that. You got Cramp Session, Ray of Frost, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Violet Spellwing. We talked about Violet Spellwing earlier in a previous game between these two. I believe it was game 1. No, I'm sorry, game 2 with the back to school or first day of school, excuse me. As Edanco will mulligan both loot hoarders for a Hand of Adult and the Libram of Wisdom. Not really. I don't think that's the smartest play because you got a 5 card that's just there at the moment. Yeah, you got 2 Librams in hand, but you got to wait a lot. And just as I say that,
Yeah.
just as I say that, we got an Aldor Attendant.
I cannot wait to
That's just the story of tonight. That is how all of our
Yep.
games have gone tonight.
Yep.
So worked out really nicely there. I don't mind keeping the True Seeker, just to get those discounts going.
Early on.
Sometimes maybe you can the mage could get a slow start to try to build up to some of that, but it does leave a bit to be desired in the early game as a Donko.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, if you're Cookie Monster now, you've got another Wind Portal, Icicle, and Vaporize. And they're going to go the Icicle in this one here as Wand Thief comes into play again.
Evocation. There it is. No need to find it off of Wand Maker when you could just discover it off Wand Thief.
Yep. Meanwhile, Dango is going to be powering up the attendant here with a Hand of a Doll, and we got a Libram of Hope in hand. Libram of Hope alert for Dango. Now, Cookie Monster is going to bring in a Brain Freeze. Going to freeze and do damage to the other attendants that are able to kind of stave off the damage a little bit here early on in this game. And Dango's going to Hero Power and bring in a Loot Hoarder just for some board presence here. Really back and forth. Both players will be able to trade barbs, trade damage, take hits and everything. But now this is where things get interesting because we're starting to see spell damage plus spells. This could be a lot of hurt here. Plus the Sorcerer's Apprentice as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see Cramp Session come into play. Devolving Missiles. I don't think you would play Devolving Missiles right now.
There could be consideration for it because of the fact that one of those Libram of Wisdoms is put onto the minion here, and that just takes away more of those spells. Yeah.
And it gets turned into a nymph, so...
Yeah, so that's less Libram of Wisdoms to use with the Penflinger. That's less that could be generated later because there's less that have been created. So, yeah, it's pretty good as mage to use those Devolving Missiles and get rid of those Libram of Wisdoms.
Mana Cyclone gets drawn for Cookie Monster here, and as the Sorcerer's Apprentice gets played here. So now you got some interesting combos here. If you're Cookie Monster, how do you want to play this? As Ray of Frost is going to come in here and just going to do some damage to that. As well as Icicle will do damage as well. So that True Seeker is going to get knocked out. The Arcane Missiles will come into play. The coin will come into play. Cramp Session is going to come into play.
Wow.
We got the Mana Giant and Magic Trick, just because why not? You're going to bring in the Learn Draconic there.
Yeah.
Big turn by Cookie Monster. Look at all that. And Edanco is now behind in the hole. Now, you're at 6 mana already. You got Libram of Hope as an option. And a lot of hurt coming your way, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Pyromancer into Libram of Justice might be the play here, just to get that board clear. Or bring in the animated broomstick.
Yeah.
Oh. I've seen what they've done now. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're able to stave out the Libram of Justice. And able to get the board clear with that Pyromancer. With the
Yeah.
Libram also, keep that in mind. So now
That Shenvala coming into hand. I mean, take your pick of what direction you want to go with this game if you're Coookiemonst. It's like unlimited choices.
yeah. Yeah, the thing is just
To do.
Shimvala
To do.
won't help you this turn because you don't really have a way to get like 3 spells played right away.
Yeah.
But we might see something later down the line.
Yeah.
That mana giant looking pretty good just to get some pressure on Edanco to do something. But I don't think they realized that they got both Libram of Justices in hand. Oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna do a Conjurer's Calling here. Wow. Whoa.
Those are pretty decent.
Time runs out on me.
Rolling Fireball and Pyroblast, and yep, Pyroblast for the win there. And oh, I see some shenanigans coming with that Allura.
There could be.
I think we might be seeing some Libram of Hope shenanigans coming in here as the Libram of Justice comes into play.
Yep.
Brightness calls.
Yeah, first day of school. Not the most exciting
No.
there. Those weren't really
Nope.
great.
Nope. You know, the level of intensity for the possible shenanigans was high and it underperformed. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back to the game here. Coookiemonst with a handful of spells, and more spells. Oh yeah, and an elemental named Shivala. Or Shivala, excuse me.
What to do?
You could bring an evocation here if you really want to. Astromancer Solarian coming into play. You really can't do anything else. Because the rolling fireball is not gonna bore clear. If anything, you could freeze. You could try and freeze the Allura, or just knock it out, which in turn is going to bring in a 6/6 dragon.
Yep, seems like a pretty solid turn. The Penflinger finally coming into hand could be used with the second Libram of Justice. I guess it's just a matter of if Edanco feels like it's absolutely necessary to go for the Justice, but going to just go for the Hope and get
Bring out
some
the
healing going.
Penflinger. Bring out the Penflinger again. Knock out the
Yeah.
Solarian, and put the Solarian back in deck for Coookiemonst. Libram of Wisdom, meanwhile, getting put on the Guardian. Now, Primordial Studies coming into play here. We will see Shenvala this time. We're going to see Ray of Frost. We're going to be able to freeze that Guardian before it does any more damage. You're going to get all 3 spells off of this one. You're going to get that Elemental
Yeah.
helping you out here. You also see a Secret as well, so nice little combo there by Coookiemonst to keep that board presence going. As Edanco brings out a Devout Pupil. I don't really. I think the only smart play would be that Devout Pupil. Get some Tom presence and everything.
I mean, I think it's a debate of if it's necessary to take out that Shenvala, and if it is, then it has to be that Libram of Justice. But there is the consideration to just stalling a turn because the body of Shenvala itself isn't very threatening, and if you let Coookiemonst just fill up the board a bit with some 5/5s, then go off with Libram of Justice, that could be pretty good. And there is limited space on the board for Coookiemonst to add to it.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Dako's gonna come in, just attack face, use a hero power, and bolster his defenses with a Devout Pupil. So Meanwhile, Magic Trick, we run to play here. Arcane Missiles. Ooh. We also got Frost Nova as well. So if you really want to stall Edanco for a turn, that could have definitely been used. And meanwhile, we'll see the Cobalt Geomancer come into play. Arcane Missiles will come into play as well. Knocks out 2 of the minions. Really looking for those other 2 Murlocs to go bye-bye. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Now Shimvala, meanwhile, is just looking at so you got Rare Frost. You got the Conjurer's Call also. If you really want to run that, you really want to get some board presence there. But instead, I don't think that's gonna be the case. We see another 5/5 elemental come into play. So Conjurer's Call will stay by. Yep. And the one Finger will take out the 5/1.
I was gonna say, are we going to see the Justice this turn? I guess we do.
No,
but
we're not.
Counterspell.
Yeah. Wow, that was huge.
And you know, we've seen a couple of really important factors in this game to see exactly why Mage is more favored against Paladin, and it's things like the devolving missiles to get rid of some of those Librams, and things like Counterspell when Paladin is running quite a few big and impactful spells that if those get countered, that's pretty hurtful.
We have evocation number 1 because you got the other one in hand as well. You have the Power of Creation as an option. But if your goal is going to be filling up that board with the 5/5s and everything like that, Rolling Fireball definitely going to be your best bet in that one. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. And we are going to see Combustion come into play. As that Guardian goes away. Going to attack face, and keep this in mind. You got that Pyroblast in hand as we see another Libram of Hope. So if you're Coookiemonst, you're in you're still in a good position right now. You don't have lethal, but you're basically forcing Edanco to use both your Librams of Hope to try and stay alive in this one. Meanwhile, you still have a handful of spells, plus the Conjurer's Calling, and the Firebrand.
Yeah.
So we're going to see Blood Mage Thalnos probably come into play here. Maybe not. We're going to see Evocation. As we will see.
Yeah, not. The trick here is how to spend the mana and also the board space.
Yeah. Blood Mage Thalnos is going to come out, and we'll see Cramp Session come into play here. So you have a full board. And Shimvala is going to go away, but still a pretty good board if you're Coookiemonst. Plus, you still have that Fireball in hand, and Edanco,
that Prime too.
And the Prime, Lady Liadrin gets drawn for Edanco. They're gonna play a Libram of Wisdom.
Yeah, squeeze it in before playing Liadrin.
Yeah. And then Liadrin gets come in, and we see Librams all around the board. Oh my goodness!
I love how Edanco is splitting these up as well, because sometimes players will kind of go all in on putting all of the Librams onto one minion, and then their opponent just kills it, putting all of those Librams back to hand and causing them to overdraw.
So I'm doing the math right now, unless my math is really wonky. Coookiemonst has lethal. You got the 2 5/5s.
I think so.
The 3 to 4, and the Pyroblast.
Yeah.
Coookiemonst has lethal here. So all this is it's gonna be for naught.
Yep.
As the Solarian Prime gets drawn, it's not gonna matter. You got the 11 damage. That's gonna do it. Coookiemonst with the win in game 5. Wow. What a finish. What a finish, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think either one of us expected that, really.
That
But
one came down to the
congratulations.
wire.
It really did. It really did. I, it took me a while. I completely forgot to do math for a second there as Leadrin came to play. You see all the levers just like, oh my god, they might be able to do something. They might be able to do something. Then you look up, it's just like, wait a minute, hold up. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. But congratulations to Coookiemonst getting the 3-2 win, putting themselves in prime position in the Division 2 playoff race. So again, it's not it we thought it was a guarantee. Turns out that's not necessarily the case. We're still waiting on one matchup between Unlimited Power and uh Baby Bear. Baby Bear getting currently sitting there at 6-1 up top. So a win that way, if Baby Bear wins, they'll be the number 1 seed from the division, and Coookiemonst will be uh the number 2 seed. I would imagine,
Yeah.
unless the math is wonky a little bit here. But you gotta give credit to Edanco also, just being able to just tough it out there, especially in the end. So I definitely think we'll see Edanco in the wild card series. We'll see them in the playoffs, just kind of depending on where they're at. I really think
Yeah.
that Edanco has a potential to potentially make some moves in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell because we've mentioned throughout the whole broadcast tonight that the playoff spots are, especially with the wild cards, like they are just so close, and
Mhm.
it's really going to be a close call, and it's so hard to determine who's kind of jostling for those positions, just because you have to look at who has beaten who, and it's all over the place right now. So things are still up in the air,
Yes.
but if you want to keep an eye on it for yourself, make sure you go to the website at aspirant.gg, and also you can join the Discord and kind of get some updates there. But checking out the website and following on Twitter at
Yes.
Aspirant CCG can give you hopefully those most kind of up to date standings if you are keeping an eye on maybe some of your friends or favorite streamers or other players from the community that are playing in this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, I know for a fact I've been eliminated from playoff contention, but I am excited for Wednesday because that should be when we figure out the playoff matchups for season 5 of Hearthstone, our biggest season yet. Not just with competitors, but I didn't realize how much the prize pool was. It's over a
Yeah.
grand. Holy
Yeah.
crap!
It's a large prize pool,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so again, 16 spots, playoff spots here. The 2 coming out from each division, plus the 6 wild cards. We had great matchups all around. Again, Harash getting the 3-1 win over Minney in that Division 4 open division all around. We did get a bit of an update on that one as well. We are waiting on a match in that regard as well. In Division 4, we're waiting for level 9,000 versus Itachi, which hasn't happened yet because I'm going to assume because of the Masters Tour event that's going on right now. So we still have to wait on that. We had to wait on other matchups here. So, like Don said, follow us on Twitter. Check out the website. Wednesday, the playoff tree should be revealed. And as always, we will be streaming these playoff matchups live for you here on the Aspirant CCG Twitch page here. Dragon Rider, any final word before we sign off on a wonderful, wonderful regular season?
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure both casting and
Yeah.
playing in this season. And it's been a lot of fun doing the casting as well. So
Hmm.
thank you to yourself and all the other casters who have gotten the chance and the privilege to cast with. And for our awesome producers, we've had
Yes.
Mr. Gnome and Major both doing some production throughout the season. So thank you to them as well. And Roguish Bard for putting it all together and running things behind the scenes. And this is the end of the regular season, like you said, but we still have playoffs and it's going to be spicy. It's going to be spicy playoffs.
This is gonna be really weird how the playoffs are gonna go off
Yeah.
because I can tell you for a fact, I don't think we're gonna be streaming 8 matches right away, right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Uh, but we'll be able to work some out, and we'll definitely be able to get you guys updates and everything like that for the playoffs for Aspirant Hearthstone. For Dragon Rider, our wonderful producer, Mr. Gnome, like you said, my name is Jimmy Cat. Thank you all so much for tuning in, not just this week, but all season long. Playoffs start on Saturday. I'm excited. Dragon Rider, I know you're excited. We're all excited. As always, we're live every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, whatever time zone you're in. Definitely pay attention to us. If you guys are interested in knowing more about Aspirant, as Dragon Rider said, check out aspirant.gg. Also, follow and subscribe to us on Twitch and make sure that notification bell is on so you guys are aware, not just for Hearthstone matches, but also the VML League, who are in the middle of their playoffs right now. Plus, any other crazy streams that we may be having down the line. We've thrown out some ideas and all that stuff. Maybe we'll have Legends of Runeterra. Maybe we'll do, some caster stuff with the VML League. You never know. So definitely make sure you guys stay in touch and are aware of what's going on. But with that being said, that's going to do it for the stream. We thank everyone so much for just hanging out with us, watching some incredible Hearthstone matches. And again, congrats to not only Coookiemonst, but to Harash for getting the win in their respective series. Playoffs start on Saturday. Stay tuned for more Hearthstone, guys. It's going to be a good one. We'll see y'all next week.